You're on mute. There you go.
All right, take two. Hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Welcome to the MI6 Sports Network special show, the MI6 Thanksgiving Special. My name is LoroAntonio. I am the real Loro Nation. And with me today is the Asian Skip Bayless, Isaiah Leong, and Chris P. Bacon. We are also going to be getting more people into our show this evening and go from there. So, Isaiah, how's it going, my man?
It's going great, guys. Glad to be able to do this Thanksgiving special show with you guys. And Laurel's right. This is a multi-hour program. We're going to be on from about now until probably 10:30, 11-ish tonight. To do this show. So can't wait for it. It's going to be great. We have a lot of fantastic topics to get into: football, basketball, baseball topics, and then we have some Thanksgiving fun topics as well. So it's going to be great show. Can't wait. And I can't wait to see who joins us on the program tonight. As well, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have people coming in and out during the program. So grab your popcorn, grab your turkey, and grab your stuffing. I know it's not Thanksgiving yet, but still, grab your food and sit down and enjoy the show.
Absolutely. And welcome, Chris P. Bacon. How's it going?
Going good. Glad to be on. And yeah, Thanksgiving is coming close, and get to enjoy all that good food.
Absolutely. Time to enjoy some good food, or for those who are watching, wherever you may be, grab your popcorn and also grab your soda and beer. So, for our first topic tonight is the college football segment, and we're going to hand it over to Isaiah Leong for this. Isaiah?
Well, thank you, Laurel. So, as you guys know, today was College Football Saturday. There was a lot of great games here on this Week 12 slate. We're going to tackle a lot of these games here tonight on this program to start this Thanksgiving special live stream. But first, let's start off with, before we get into the first, or like the original first game on our agenda for tonight, let's go into the game that just finished about 20 minutes ago, and that is the Utah Utes the Utah Utes defeat and knock off number 3 Oregon, and they blew out the Ducks 38-7 in Salt Lake City, Utah, to shake up the playoff race and shake up the playoff picture. Laurel, I'm gonna start with you first on this. What was your reaction to this massive win by the Utah Utes here on Saturday night at Salt Lake City?
Oh, man. Oregon should be embarrassed. They should have not lost to an unranked team. But I feel like that the Pac-12 race could be interesting, but maybe, just maybe, that the Utah Utes could knock off Oregon out of the Pac-12 championship game. But I'm just kidding. I think Oregon is going to be in the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah, I think Oregon will be in the Pac-12 championship game as well. But, Chris, before I go to you on this, let me just say this. Oregon was number 3 in the country before this game went down. And I got to say, Utah was the one that looked like the number 3 team, not Oregon. I said before this game that I thought that, I know Oregon played Ohio State in Ohio State and they won, but I thought that out of all of Oregon's remaining games, that this was going to be Oregon's toughest task of the season and their toughest test of the season. And sure enough, it was, because, it doesn't matter what team you're playing. When you go on a road into a hostile environment, against a team that is ranked number 23, against a Utah team that only had, 3 losses coming into this football game. They were playing outstanding football. They were red hot. That's a recipe for disaster and a recipe for an upset. And I just think that Oregon just, they got punched in the mouth early on by Utah. Utah took an early 14-0 lead, and the Ducks just couldn't bounce back from it, and they couldn't recover from it. And that's all she wrote for the Oregon Ducks. And now, like you said, Loro, Oregon's playoff chances are dead. The Pac-12's playoff chances are dead, because I don't see Utah getting into the playoffs. I don't see anybody else getting into the playoffs from the Pac-12. But now this opens up a spot, and we could get into this maybe after we talk about this game, or Chris talks about it. But this opens a spot for Cincinnati into the college football playoff now, which will make the next couple of days really, really interesting. But Chris, let me go to you next on this. You saw this game, Utah defeats Oregon. They demolished the Ducks 38-7. What was your overall thoughts on the Utes just dismantling the Ducks?
No, I think a lot of Duck fans were hoping that Oregon would win, and they probably felt like that they would have against Utah. Sadly, it didn't happen, but I think maybe it's low. It'll probably be in the top 4. I think Cincinnati might go either 1 or 2. I feel like they should be 1 or 2 with their undefeated record. And it just depends on how it falls from there. I'm not quite sure, but I think Oregon still has a chance to make the playoff.
So, Loro and Chris, you look at this now. Oregon, they were number 3 before this loss. They will probably drop out of the top 10 after getting humiliated here on Saturday night by the Utah Utes. Loro, I'll start with you first on this, actually. So now you have Cincinnati, who was number 5 before this game and before this weekend, and you also had Michigan sitting there at number 6. On Tuesday night, when the new rankings come out, where do you think it will go? Do you think it will be Cincinnati moving up to number 4, or do you think that the latest or the last spot of the college football playoff rankings, because we know it's going to be Georgia, and then you're going to have Ohio State in there after their 49-7 win over Michigan State today, and then you're going to have Alabama as well because they won today as well, so they're definitely not going to drop out. So the top 3 are going to be set. It's going to be down to that last spot for the college football playoff rankings. Do you think on Tuesday night, when the committee reveals the newest rankings, do you think that Michigan or Cincinnati, or even Notre Dame, I'll throw them in there, do you think Michigan, Cincinnati, or Notre Dame will be in that last spot? Which team do you think will be in that last spot?
I'm going to pick Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines to be the number 4 seed in the college football playoff. I also will talk about that in a minute. I actually have Michigan beating Ohio State next Saturday, so we'll have to talk about that. A lot of people will kind of rip me on this pick, but it's just my take. I just think that Ohio State has taken a bit of a step back, but they have shown up at the right time.
Yeah, man. I think, Michigan, I could definitely see them jumping Cincinnati and moving up to number 4. But Chris, I'll go to you next on this. Which team do you think will be number 4 in the rankings when the committee rolls out the newest college football playoff rankings on Tuesday night? Do you think it's going to be Notre Dame? Do you think it's going to be Michigan? Or do you think it's going to be Cincinnati and the Bearcats will finally get their rightful recognition and be in the top 4?
I'm hoping Cincinnati because I feel like Notre Dame a few years ago was in this position, and they got into the playoff with maybe a week or 2 to go, before the final, seedings came out. But I feel like Cincinnati's in that position, and hopefully they can, get a good spot.
Right. For me, I tend to agree with Loro because you guys know my stance on this, and I've said this for, I would say, a while now, and that is, I just don't, until I see with my own 2 eyes, until I see Cincinnati get in to the top 4, I can't put them in there because I know how the committee feels, not just about Cincinnati, but about group of 5 teams in general. They just don't like them at all. And I just think right now that when I look at it, I really think Michigan's going to be in the top 4 because what's the big game? And we'll talk about this later on in our Pigskin Pick'em segment, but the big game coming up next Saturday is Ohio State versus Michigan. And you know how the committee likes to do things. They always like to have, they like to put a team, whether they're deserving or not, but they like to put a team higher in the rankings than they typically are so that they can have that, Ohio State be number 2 or 3 versus number 4 Michigan and have that 3-4 or 2-4 matchup, and everybody hypes it up as a top 5 matchup just to get ratings and just to get views. And I just think that that's what's going to happen. I don't think the committee will put in Cincinnati in the top 4, even though they're well deserving of it, just because I just have not seen it to this day. And the committee has expressed time and time again how they feel about group of 5 teams. And I just can't put them right there in the top 4 just because I just haven't seen it. They haven't done it before. And until they do it, I can't put them in there. So for me, I got Michigan in the top 4, and I think they'll be at number 4 because I think the committee wants to hype up Ohio State and Michigan. But going into our comment section, we had a lot of comments that flooded in. Let's go with my guy, Justin Bossman. He says Isaiah's hat. Justin, thank you very much. I know it's not Christmas, but, Chris and Loro, you guys both know this. Thanksgiving is a bridge to Christmas. When Thanksgiving comes, it's basically Christmas time. So that's why I'm wearing this right now. So thank you, Justin, for the recognition. Callan says, Isaiah or Haley, y'all, you're being watched. You never know when I'll be hopping on tonight. You've been warned. Don't worry. I don't think Callan's going to hop on tonight. So maybe we'll sneak in some hockey talk later on in the program because Callan is not watching the program, or he's not going to be on the program, so I can talk hockey. By the way, how about them Sharks and how about them Ducks? Number 1 and number 2 in the West Coast Conference. And also, Callan says, down goes USC and Oregon. We'll talk about USC in a bit. That was an embarrassing game for USC. But Callan's right. Down goes USC and Oregon. He's got a point. This was a very embarrassing day for the Pac-12. Casey King says, good evening, guys. What's going on, Casey? Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Callan's rankings, or we'll go to Trevor first. Trevor says Oregon will probably be a 9. I don't know. 31-point loss to a unranked team or number 23. I think they will fall swiftly in the new rankings. Casey King says Oregon got exposed, and yes, they will likely go to the Pac-12 championship game, but still no playoff for them, and they shouldn't. And wouldn't surprise me if they get beat next weekend by Oregon State Beavers. The game is in Corvallis, which is a tough place to play. And Oregon State right now is not a bad team this year. Totally agree with you on that, Casey. Callan also says, or these are Callan's rankings. He's got number 1, Georgia, number 2, Alabama, number 3, Ohio State, and number 4, Cincinnati. Casey King says, Loro, there's no way Michigan beats Ohio State. We'll answer that, in the pick'em session. Or Loro, actually, I'll let you take that one right now. Go ahead.
Well, I think that, Casey, to answer, to go with your statement here, I think that Jim Harbaugh really wants to beat Ohio State. He's not done that. Ryan Day, he is 2-0 against Michigan in his. He's already 1-0 in his career facing Michigan. But I really think that Jim Harbaugh is going to want revenge, and I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to need this win. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, is Jim Harbaugh going to be out at Michigan if he doesn't beat Ohio State or something like that?" Well, I'll see. I'm looking forward to that game. I might even watch that game first. I have to see what time the Iron Bowl is because I'm more looking forward to the Iron Bowl with Alabama and Auburn.
I think normally the Iron Bowl is like at night. It's like a primetime game normally.
Yeah, I think so too. I think typically it's always been at night. I don't think it's early in the morning. And also George G. the Third, he says Cincy will be in the last spot, and he says the Wolverines will be at number 5, and Jimbo hasn't been able, or Jim Harbaugh, I think that's what he meant, hasn't been able to beat the Buckeyes since he got there. And after he loses next week, he will be officially fired. But let's go into our next game that we have here on the schedule. We go to Columbus, where this game was billed as probably one of the biggest games of the year. You had number 4 Ohio State versus number 7 Michigan State. Michigan State has been playing extremely well all season long. And what happens? Ohio State demolished Mel Tucker and Michigan State at the shoe 56-7. here earlier this morning. Chris, I will start
Yeah.
with you on that first. What is your thoughts on Ohio State completely dismantling Michigan State 56-7?
That was a good game. That was well, I wouldn't say a close game. I guess first quarter was close, but I mean, Ohio State's been really good this season, and it's going to be interesting. Like we've been talking about how it's going to be in the playoff rankings. So I think it was a good win for him.
Yeah, it was definitely a great win for sure for Ohio State. And I think it also cemented Ohio State as, a top 2 team in the country behind Georgia, but we could debate that later. But Loro, you saw this game this morning. Ohio State just completely runs Michigan State out of Columbus, 56-7. What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, Ohio State's good. I mean, Michigan State, they're okay, but I just think that the Michigan Wolverines should have beaten Michigan State. I just think that Michigan State's good, but they're not that good of a football program. They're more.
Right. I mean, Michigan State got exposed today. I've been not high on Michigan State throughout this entire season. I thought that they were a fluke, and well, there we go. They can't compete with the big boys in the Big Ten, and showed today. When you can't run the football with Kenneth Walker, your offense is basically non-existent. Kenneth Walker, who's the Heisman candidate, had only 25 yards rushing. I mean, you got to give a shout out to Ohio State's defense. I picked Michigan State actually to win this game on our no BS Pigskin pick'em. It was a terrible pick, but Kenneth Walker, I thought he was going to have a monster day because I thought that Ohio State's run defense was trash, and I thought that Kenneth Walker was just going to absolutely bulldoze his way by the Ohio State run defense, and they proved me wrong. They held him to just 25 yards on 6 carries. But I think the most important thing was Michigan State's pass defense was just so damn bad, man. Like every time Ohio State and CJ Stroud threw the football in that first half, it was touchdown, 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 and then touchdown. And they just couldn't stop them. And Michigan State, they had the worst ranked pass defense in the nation this season, and it showed. They just are just so bad, and Mel Tucker's got to fix that pass defense, because if your secondary is giving up, guys, Michigan or Ohio State had 7 possessions in the first, or they had, I believe, 6 or 7 possessions in the first half. You know how many touchdowns Ohio State scored in the first half? They scored 6 touchdowns in 6 possessions. That just shows you how bad that Michigan State pass defense really was. So they got to shore that up, not just against Penn State, because if they don't, Sean Clifford's going to torch them, but they got to shore that up next season if they really want to be legitimate playoff contenders. And also, Casey King says Isaiah loses again. I think we have the Isaiah loses again video somewhere in the archives, but we have Isaiah loses again. I'm picking Michigan State. Yes, I will humbly take my defeat right there. Casey King also says Michigan State is not that good either, but they seem to know how to beat Michigan. I think I agree with what Loro said. I think Michigan just choked that game away because Michigan was actually
loses again. Isaiah loses again. 10 games of losing. Isaiah loses again. Skull, 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 skull. Skull, 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 skull. Still keep on losing. Isaiah loses again. Isaiah loses again. Isaiah loses again. 10 games of losing. Isaiah loses again. He's worse than Stephen Wayne. He's worse than Stephen Wayne. Skills keep on losing. Skull, 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 skull.
Yes, Isaiah loses again. And also Khaled McClurg says Isaiah loses again. Isaiah loses again. Yes, I will humbly take my L on this Michigan State-Ohio State game. Good game to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Loro, George G actually has a comment for you. He says, Loro, I'm in Big Ten country over here in the Midwest. Michigan State and Michigan are both equally tough. Ohio State put the hammer down for the first half. After the first drive of the third quarter, all of OSU's second and third and fourth string players finished up the game. They were not giving the Wolverines any extra game film. The Wolverines have been exposed 3 times earlier this year and had to come back and win. They are pretenders. Loro, what do you have to say about that?
What I have to say is that I think that both teams are capable of playing in the college football playoff, but knowing that the committee has like really, really tough decisions to make, I really think that the Wolverines are good. I mean, they're much better than they were last year, and I think that they're much better. I think that the Michigan State Spartans, to me, they're not good in football. I just think that I like them better in basketball because Tom is a legendary head coach at Michigan State, and I'm looking forward to watching college basketball when it's Michigan versus Michigan State, and I'm hoping that that's going to be in the college basketball national championship game because I want to see Krzyzewski and Izzo go head-to-head one last time.
That will be great for sure. And also, Big B, Brandon Herrera is tuning in. He says, what's up, guys? And Isaiah, Big B, if you want to join us on our Thanksgiving special, feel free to do so as I'll send you the link in a bit. But going into our next game, we go to Columbia, Missouri, where the Missouri Tigers stunned the Florida Gators in overtime by a score of 23-22. Eli Drinkwitz decides to go for 2 after scoring a touchdown in overtime, and he gets the 2-point conversion, and Missouri beats Florida. The Tigers are now bowl eligible, and Loro and Chris, Dan Mullen is on a fiery hot seat right now. His job was already in jeopardy. He had to win the final 2 games against Missouri and Florida State, and he loses to Missouri. And now Florida is guaranteed to not finish with a winning record this season. Loro, I'll start with you first on this. What is your thoughts on Missouri beating Florida, and do you think that Dan Mullen is a goner after this game?
From that score, yes. Florida Gators need to find a new head coach. They need to get in a new direction. But hey, what if Urban Meyer gets fired? You got to call him. Get him back to college if he doesn't work out in the NFL. Get him back to the Florida Gators if that were to happen.
I mean, do you guys really think that Urban Meyer will get fired from the Jacksonville Jaguars? I really don't think that, he will, because I think he'll be given at least 2 or 3 years to try to turn the Jaguars around. But Casey King says, Florida Gators, another overrated team, and I definitely see the Gators making a coaching change. Chris, I'll go to you next on this. What is your thoughts on Missouri beating Florida in overtime, 23-22, and do you think that Dan Mullen coached his final game in Florida?
That was a big loss by Florida, and I do think that it's going to result in the coach being fired. I don't know if it's going to be Urban Meyer though, but I do think that a lot of teams are going to where it's either one season, good or bad. If you do terrible, we're going to fire you. A lot of teams are going to that model. It just depends on if they really will. I don't see Urban Meyer staying 3-4 years. It depends on if they keep winning and they improve every year.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Chris. I think that Dan Mullen is definitely getting fired because there were already reports that he should have gotten fired after the game where the Gators got whacked by the South Carolina Gamecocks, and he had to win the next 2 games. And he just lost to Missouri, who's one of the worst teams in the SEC. By the way, shout out to Missouri for becoming bowl eligible for the first time in a couple of years under Eli Drinkwitz. But Florida, this was an embarrassing loss. It was really embarrassing. what the Gators, you didn't even show up. How do you let Missouri, who's a bottom feeder in the SEC, when you have all that talent, somehow, some way beat you? It makes no sense whatsoever. The defense has been a big problem all season long. And Loro and Chris, I'm going to accuse the Gators defense of quitting in the second half and in overtime, because there was a play where Missouri quarterback gives the running back the ball. He runs it over the left side. There's 3 defenders that are wide open or right there to tackle him, and they don't even tackle. They just stand there, do nothing, and the guy runs by them and into the end zone for a touchdown. Like, that was terrible effort. They basically quit on their head coach and on this program. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. And I agree with you guys. Dan Mullen is definitely gone. I would not be shocked if he's gone tomorrow afternoon. But Chris, Loro, let me ask you guys this before we move on to our next game. If you are, if you guys like the coaching carousel, right? LSU's open. Florida's about to open. USC is already open. Right now, if you guys were a head coach in college football and you guys were offered the USC job, LSU job, and Florida job, which job do you guys think is the most desirable? Loro, I'll start with you first. Would you take USC, LSU, or Florida?
USC. They need to get back to being in the top 10 in the nation again. I mean, they're just not that good right now, if you know.
How about you, Chris? If you were a head coach and you were offered LSU, USC, and Florida, and you could pick one of the 3, which one are you taking?
I'd probably choose no. Probably LSU.
You take LSU over Florida and USC?
I would.
For me, I think it's got to be between LSU and Florida. And I would probably take – it's tough because both of these programs got really, great resources, and, you can recruit at a really high level at both of these programs. But I would take Florida, honestly, because I think LSU, even when you win a national championship, they still fired your coach. So it doesn't make sense whatsoever to just go there, win a title, and then end up getting fired 2 years later because you're having a down year. So I would take Florida, but to all the fans out there, feel free to comment which one do you guys would choose, LSU, Florida, or USC. But going into another game that was on the slate and another SEC game, Loro, your Alabama Crimson Tide survived a major scare in Tuscaloosa from the Arkansas Razorbacks, and they held on to take down the Hogs 42-35. What was your thoughts on Alabama beating Arkansas and clinching a spot in the SEC championship, and now we get the matchup that I've been chomping at the bit, and I know you too, Loro, you've been chomping at the bit for, and that is Alabama, Georgia on the first Saturday of December. Give me your thoughts.
I can't wait to watch that game next Saturday. The SEC championship game is going to be fun, but, I mean, you know what? They just got lucky. I mean, Arkansas could have beaten Alabama, but you know what? Looking forward to the Iron Bowl next Saturday, and I can't wait to be watching that game. And I'm anxious to kind of know what time that game starts, because I want to be in front of my TV for that game.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, how about you? Alabama beats Arkansas. Arkansas gave them all that they could handle, but Alabama somehow survives. What is your thoughts on Alabama beating Arkansas?
Man, I mean, Alabama's one of the top teams. They have been for a while. Arkansas is getting there, though. I'm not sure if it's a really big surprise, though.
Yeah, I think that for this game, I actually watched most of this game because it was on SEC on CBS, and I love to watch the SEC on CBS games. And my thoughts on this game was that Alabama had this game in control. They were in control of this game from start to finish. I think Arkansas really gave them a scare, but I didn't think Arkansas was legitimately going to win this game. But I'll say this. KJ Jefferson, the quarterback for Arkansas, he's an absolute stud. This guy is big. He's got a strong cannon of an arm. He can run the football very physically. He's going to be dangerous in Arkansas for years to come. And I like what Sam Pittman did with some of his play calls. That 4th down and 8, going for that fake field goal that ends up being a touchdown. That was amazing. Arkansas, they can get a few more players into their program, get some few difference makers. They will be a threat, a big time threat to Alabama in the SEC West. But they are very young. They're ahead of schedule, and I think they will be fine. But Alabama, Loro, you should be very worried about that Alabama secondary, because when I saw they were getting torched every single play by those Arkansas wide receivers. I mean, they gave up a lot of deep passes that you don't typically see from Alabama. They gave up a screen pass that ended up being like a 50-yard gain. You don't see that from Alabama. A lot of missed tackles, a lot of busted coverages. You got to be worried about that going into that game against Georgia. But I do agree with you, Loro. That's going to be one hell of a game, man. I can't wait. Alabama, Georgia. Maybe we could do like a Eli Manning, Peyton Manning color cast thing here on the MI6 Sports Network for that game, and just call it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Exactly. That'll be so much fun. Christy Wilson says, "Hi guys, very happy that UCLA beat USC." Big B Brandon Herrera says, "This is for you, Loro. Bama got lucky." That's what he said. He said Bama got lucky. Also, Callum McClurg says, "Beware, Isaiah. I'm coming."
And Callan, I can't wait on baseball, I can't wait to talk to you about if the Dodgers are going to trade for Matt Olson, because there were some rumors about that. And I want to talk about that today on our Thanksgiving special, because I've read a report I sent to Isaiah, my trade proposal, and how the Dodgers can land, Matt Olson from the A's, because the A's are definitely going to be on a fire sale. And I really think Matt Olson will be good for either the Dodgers and the Yankees. And I think that the Dodgers would definitely love to get Matt Olson. And I like him. I like Matt Olson. Great player, great hitter, great defense at first baseman. You could move Max Muncy to second or third. If Seager stays, then you can keep Trey Turner at second. And then you move Justin Turner to the designated hitter role, because I think the DH is coming to the National League. And I have a really good feeling about it.
And also, Justin Bossman says he has a suggestion for the Florida potential opening. What do you guys think about Mike Tomlin going to the Florida Gators? Loro, I'll start with you first on this. Mike Tomlin to the Gators?
I'm going to play something right here, how I feel about that. It's the Stephen Wing losing horn about Mike Tomlin going to Florida. Not happening. This is for you, Mike Tomlin and the Gators.
Chris, I don't know if you're still with us or not, but
I'm here.
Oh, perfect. What do you think about Mike Tomlin to the Gators? Do you see Mike Tomlin leaving his cushy job in Pittsburgh for Florida?
I don't see it. No, I mean, I think sure everyone talks and they get interviewed and for jobs like that, but I don't see it happening.
Right. I think that it's I don't see it happening as well. I really don't. I don't think that Mike Tomlin would leave the NFL.
No. And even said he wouldn't.
I don't think. Oh gosh.
Hi, Isaiah.
Hi, Callan.
Why are you running away? What's going on?
Callan, I'm actually stunned that you showed up for our Thanksgiving special tonight.
Why are you unknown guest? Put your name in, Callan.
Why'd you run, Isaiah? What's going on?
Nothing transpired.
But what's going on, sir?
Yeah, we were talking about this comment by Justin Bossman. Do you see Mike Tomlin potentially leaving his cushy gig in Pittsburgh?
I don't watch football, so you guys have at it. I'm just here to troll the guy in square one tonight.
All right, but going into one of our final games of the night, actually, in college football. This segment is, well, Loro, we talked about this game for a while on the night shift, and we thought we both picked UCLA to win, but we didn't think it was going to be this bad, man. UCLA puts up a record 62 points against
How about those
USC
USC Trojans, Isaiah?
and beats the Trojans 62-33 at the Coliseum. The USC defense could not stop a leak to save their life. It was an embarrassment. It was humiliating. And, honestly, all the coaches right
How
now
about them Trojans, baby? How
and
about them Trojans?
all the players that were there that played today's game, they should have to be stripped of their USC jerseys because you don't deserve to be a student.
By the way, Isaiah, that Adam Banks jersey is right there, just so you know, just because of what happened over the course of the week.
But, Loro, before I give my thoughts on USC, UCLA, I'll turn it to you. What's your thoughts on this historic?
How about them Trojans, baby? Loro, over to you.
All right, Callan. My thoughts is that the UCLA football program is proven to me that they're going to be a really good football team in the coming years. And I think the recruitment's going to get better. I think Chip Kelly is the right person to lead UCLA into the promised land. But I think that I think UCLA is going to be good for both basketball and football in the near future. I think this UCLA Bruin football team has a bright future, and for USC, they need to get a head coach that's going to get them back to competing for a college football playoff. And I know that they'll find the right person to do that.
Chris, I'm going to go to you next on this. You saw the score, 62-33.
How about those Trojans, Isaiah? And you're not going anywhere anytime soon, so don't even think about
it. UCLA smashes USC 62-33 at the Coliseum as well. What is your thoughts on this historic win by UCLA and a historic loss by those Trojans?
USC's been struggling for a while. I mean, UCLA has too, though. They're just trying to find the right combination of coach and quarterback, and it's just been taking a long time. I think both teams will get back to, playing good football, hopefully, but it's going to take maybe longer time than maybe people expected. I'm not sure if it's really maybe the score is, but I don't know about the losing though. A lot.
Yeah, I mean UCLA seemed to do whatever the heck they wanted against USC, especially when USC was on defense and UCLA was on offense, and it was just really, really
Isaiah
ugly.
Loses again. Isaiah loses again.
It was really ugly.
Isaiah loses again. Isaiah loses again.
It was really ugly, but I don't know where you start, Loro and Chris. I really don't know. I mean, the defense was so soft today. They couldn't tackle. They couldn't tackle. They couldn't cover to save their life, and the offense just couldn't do anything either. So it was just, what? Oh my God, you had it! It was just a huge mess from top to bottom. But Chris, Justin has a question for you before we go to our final college football topic, and that is for Texas. Since you're a Longhorns fan, what was your thoughts on Texas losing to West Virginia 31-23? It's the sixth straight loss for those Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns are now no longer eligible for a bowl game. So First time, I believe, in since the 1990s that Texas.
No.
Where do you get 2016 from the 90s, Isaiah? 2016 was their last time. What are you talking about?
First time since 2016 that Texas is not going to be headed to a bowl game. But Chris, you're a Longhorns fan.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Longhorns?
I think he's a good coach. We just had first part of the year we had up and down year, and then we found our rhythm, and then I don't know, Oklahoma, and then that happened, and then it's just been downhill from there. I think he's the right coach. It's just going to take some more recruiting and signings, and I don't know. So yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Chris is just like me on USC. I've given up. I don't know what to do with this
How about
Trojans.
them Trojans, baby? How about them
I-
Trojans?
I've given up for this season. I haven't given up totally, but
Yeah, we've given up for this season for sure. And Christy says we need John Alcorn here because he's a Texas Longhorns fan, but unfortunately, John
yeah.
had a busy day at work today, so he couldn't be here with us tonight. But I'm pretty sure we'll get a rant from John.
You never know.
Sometime, yeah, we don't know, but
Well, John will probably be with us tomorrow on the extra point.
Yeah, we could for sure ask him what he thinks. But Loro, this is for you. Who do you want as USC bringing in as the who do you want USC to bring in as a coach next year? This is why I don't host the program.
This is why you're not
This
getting
is
the
an
head coaching
easy
job
choice
either.
for me. This is an easy choice for me. I want Jack Del Rio coaching the Trojans because I really think that Jack Del Rio is going to bring toughness, discipline, charisma, and a change in the locker room for USC. And he is going to develop these young men to be pros. And he is really good at developing younger players and also developing really good defensive players as well. So I think he'll be great for that program. And he also went to USC as well.
You took the words out of my mouth, Loro. 3 words. Jack Del Rio needs to be the next head coach of USC. But Chris, since you're not, a fan of USC,
I like Brandon's answer better. Randall Cunningham, let's go.
But Chris, let me go to you. Who would you pick if you were the athletic director at USC to be the next coach?
I don't see Del Rio being the coach of USC. I mean, I could see it because of the USC connection. I don't know if he's the right fit. I'm not sure who you would put in there though. I mean, you could put Gary Patterson.
Gary Patterson from TCU.
He's no longer with TCU, and they're looking for an opening too. So.
Right. He changed the culture at TCU and was there for a long, long time. So, I mean, he could come in and change the culture for sure. And Justin says Reggie Bush, head coach for USC. I don't see that happening, Justin, because number one, he doesn't have any head coaching experience. He doesn't even have any coaching experience at all in any level. And also, I believe there's like some sanctions against him. So he's not even allowed to be on
Sanctions
USC.
have been lifted, Isaiah. Way to go.
Thank you. And also, Nathaniel McWorth, Nate tunes in and he says, good luck next week as y'all will play my Cougars. I mean, I've already given up on the Trojan season anyways, so next week's game doesn't really...
giving up on a season. Shocking. Not.
Next week's game doesn't even matter to me at all, but... Going in, away from the games now, we go into our last college football topic for tonight, and that is Dan Patrick reported on his radio show that college football playoff expansion is a go, and the College Football Playoff Committee wants it to happen as early as next season, and that if it's not approved for next season, then expansion will not happen until at least 2025. And he also reported that it's going to be a 12-team playoff, shall they expand. So, Chris, I'll start with you first on this. What is your reaction to college football playoff being potentially expanded to a 12-team playoff and being expanded next season?
As a football fan, it sounds great. I mean, 12 teams getting in. That's almost like an equal shot at almost every conference getting in. But I don't know if it's going to work out. I feel like 8 teams, at least for now, may be better. But the committee's going to vote on it, of how many teams there's going to be. It's almost a sure lock that it is going to happen. But things changed. It was going to be this season, from what I heard, that it was going to expand, but with everything moving, all these teams moving around to different conferences in the future and all of that, they just decided not to expand it this year. So I mean, it's gonna be good for football fans for 12 teams. I don't know if it's gonna work out for the conference for NCAA in general.
Loro, how about you, man? College football playoff may be expanded to 12 teams, and it might be expanded as early as next season. Do you like this potential move by the College Football Playoff Expansion Committee?
I think so. Yeah, I think it would bring more fans to love college football.
All right. And Callan, welcome back into the program. Hopefully you're doing well. Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving, my man. Sorry about that. I jumped the gun on the holidays right there. But Callan, Dan Patrick reported that the college football playoff expansion is a go. It's going to be approved, and it's probably going to be a 12-team playoff that could happen as early as next season. What is your reaction to the report? Because I know you've been a strong opponent of the whole expansion of conferences and realignment and stuff like that. So, what is your reaction to this news that we could potentially see a 12-team playoff as early as next season?
While it may be great for television viewership, I am still going to be on my soapbox and say that this is a bad idea because of what may in fact transpire this season. If in fact that Cincinnati does get in, do we want to see teams like that from the group of five getting in and getting their doors blown off by Bama and Georgia and Ohio State, Oregon every single season? Now, I can see the argument, though, to maybe make some more of the bowl games worth noting. Like I've said, though, if you do, in fact, do that, I think that you have to do it where it's obviously the big name games, the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Orange Bowl, so on and so forth. So I get the argument that they have to do it. But at the same time, though, when do we get, or when do we basically draw the line and say that this is already watered down, enough as is and stuff like that? And again, like I've said, though, I'm not the biggest college football or NFL football fan or viewer or whatnot. So, maybe my take is ludicrous to some of you people out there. But just thinking, though, about how, that they've tried so hard to find a squeaky, I call it a squeaky clean playoff format. And I still just don't think that this is going to pan out, because I think you're going to have too many matchups, though. And also, I think that James Gonzalez and I agree, though, that there's going to be something called football fatigue. I get enough football fatigue as this because I don't watch a lot of the games or watch the sport in general. And again, I just think that if you add more to this, if you add 8 more teams to this playoff picture, it may be great that the Mountain West gets in or the Pac-12 gets in, or, you're giving everyone at least a fair shot to get in, and I'm totally for it. But the odds, though, I think of seeing someone upset the top overall seed being that part, being down that far on the totem pole in the playoff picture is just not going to, I think, make much difference. I think you have to keep it at 4. If you are going to expand, you cap it at 8 and you have it go 1 through 8. And that is the only exception, I would say. And I think if you do, in fact, go to 8, you work in all the big games, the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, all that sort of stuff. And to Casey's point, I have to disagree, though, about getting rid of these stupid bowl games. I said this a while back. If you want to, you can. But you also have to remember about cities like San Diego, my hometown, who has no NFL team, a bit of a fringe Division I program in San Diego State, the now 12-time PFL champion USD Toreros. That's it for college football and football. And if you bring these schools, like, for example, the projections of Wake Forest and UCLA coming here, that's tourism money. That is money that obviously that we as a city need, much like any other city, because of the tourism being lost because of COVID. So I will respectfully disagree with getting rid of all the bowl games, because there's a lot of small markets, guys, and I'm one of them in San Diego, who has no big-name college football program and no professional NFL team, though there's been reports about the league going to 40 teams and maybe San Diego gets the NFL back. So, we'll see what happens, but I really don't think that, while it's going to be great, and I know that it's going to be back at the new Aztec Stadium. Eventually, it's at Petco Park this year, maybe for the next year. And I'm aware of that, but I just don't think that stadium is going to be big enough, though. 35,000 is great, but it's not going to be enough to hold, for a national title game or for a playoff game. You're going to want the Rose Bowl, the Coliseum, SoFi Stadium, Glendale, Vegas. San Diego's an outlier right now, sadly, because all these other cities, have NFL teams, and they have these plush states that we don't have here. As far as the playoff go, guys, I'm going to remain, firm on my stance. 8 is where I would cap it. Anything beyond 8, too much. I already don't like college football in the NFL as is right now. So, I'll rest my case here to say, enough watering down the product. I don't see how it is. I think Justin's right, though, that players may, in fact, start opting out of bowl games if, in fact, they have draft eligibility, especially, I think, too, come the playoff time, too. So, and also, I want to read George's comment real quick. He says that the NCAA has to do this. They are going to lose control of the conferences already with all the moving around. I agree on that part for sure. And I think, George, if you probably haven't caught our content, there's a about 25-minute discussion between me, Loro, and Isaiah in regards to, again, all the puzzle pieces being moved. So they need to expand it and do it quickly in order to keep the money flowing internally. If they don't, the conferences will run their own playoff and the money going to the conference versus the NCAA. And again, maybe that's the case. But again, I just think, though, for a consumer of a product, as I call myself a consumer of ESPN content and Disney content, though Isaiah has no clue about Disney and Marvel Comics and Star Wars in general, there's to me, it's pointless to grow this format into something larger, because I just don't think that there's going to be enough people tuning in to watch any type of content or any type of these games. I don't want to see a 5-seed team, beat the 12 seed, 73-0, like the Bears beating Washington in 1940. I don't want to see this happen. I don't want to see SDSU get into a game, though I'm not a big fan of San Diego State. I don't want to see my hometown go into a playoff game against big bad Georgia or Alabama and these kids get beat 106-0. To me, it is pointless to go beyond 8 teams. 6 is minimal. 8 is my max. Anything beyond 8 is too crazy of an idea. So, George, I do get your stance, though, because I do, in fact, work in D1 and D2 athletics. And again, I don't really watch a lot of college football because I don't work in the game and I don't find football interesting. But, having worked in college volleyball and basketball and soccer and baseball and softball, and those already have, I think, perfect, not all the way perfect, but at least they have some type of playoff format that everyone agrees upon. And I'm glad that they finally are going to 68 teams for women's college basketball this season. But at least, though, that they haven't changed this format like college football has tried to. Again, there's not going to be a squeaky clean, hand sanitize the hands, dry the hands off format that Isaiah's going to agree upon, Chris will agree on, Laura will agree on, even me being a casual, if not, lackluster college football fan. There will never, George, in my mind, be a perfect football playoff system for college football because you have too many schools who will bicker, like UTSA. They're 11-0. They're going to be bitching and whining, as you probably know, that they should be in, but they're not going to get in because, oh, sorry, guys, but you don't play in the SEC, players only, SEC, Big Ten, Pac-12, ACC. Hey, great story. It's a lot like what we said, in regards to, the trash talk towards, the Bucks and Suns during the NBA finals last season. Hey, Milwaukee, hey, Phoenix, great season. Nobody cares. It's all about LA. It's all about Boston. It's all about Dallas. It's all about Seattle. It's all about, Columbus, hey, yeah, golf clap, great season. That's basically what I feel like is the college football postseason every year. There's going to be that great story like Cincinnati and like UTSA. Oh, hey, Cincy. Oh, hey, UTSA. Great season. Get the heck out of my face because you're not playing in the SEC, so you're not getting in. So good riddance. Simple as that. And it's sad. And it's really, really sad. And I wanted to also, throw Isaiah back under the bus as well earlier on in the show. What does the committee and Isaiah have in common? They don't like change, and they hate small conferences like the West Coast Conference. Oh, sorry, Isaiah. Back over to you.
Well, I was just going to put up this picture. I mean, if you look at the matchups right now, if we did have a 12-team playoff, right, you would have Georgia versus Ole Miss. I could see how that actually being a very competitive matchup because great offense versus great defense. But then you have Alabama versus Baylor. I mean, and then you have Oregon would probably.
Gee whiz, Isaiah, look at that. Your beloved BYU Cougars aren't even in the running. Unbelievable.
No comment on that, but for me, for this topic, I think I agree with Callan. There's really not a format that you're gonna make everybody happy. Like if you go 8, there's still gonna be people that are going to be like, oh, well, I mean, it's not fair that I'm not getting in. It's not fair the SEC's got 3 teams and the Big Ten's got 3 teams in the playoff. It's not fair. There's always going to be a format where everybody is just not going to agree on the format. I think
better
12,
yet, let's just go back to the BCS and everybody can lose their minds.
Well, hey, that would be great for us because we talk sports live on air. But I'll say this, Callan. Why don't we just scrap the regular season? Let's just do how many teams are in the FBS? Like 60?
130. 130.
130. I don't know why I got 60, but I mean, I would want 8 teams because you got 5 champions you got 5 conference champions from the Power 5, and then you would have 1 team, the best team that finished out of the group of 5, and then you have 2 wild cards. I think that would be a perfect mix. I just think 12 is way too much, and it will be too watered down. And if you have 12, are you going to have games leaking into February? Because there's no way that you start in January, right? There's January. If you play all these matchups, you're going to go to February. You're going to be competing with the NFL. So I don't know how these athletes, the collegiate athletes that typically their bodies.
I think Justin's right, though. I think that more players would opt out. I mean, regardless if there's a chance to win a championship, the wear and tear of playing this game for as long as you have to. I mean, you have to go through at least, what is it, like a 14-game regular season or 12-game regular season?
12, 13 12, 13.
And if you get into a playoff game, you're talking about, adding 2 more games. I mean, I know it's one thing in the NFL, but for college athletes, no.
Well, but if you're like Georgia or Alabama that's competing for the national championship, you probably could potentially go 3 games because, your first 2 rounds, and then you got the national title. So you could potentially be playing into February, to win a national title. And I think that would be bad for a lot of these collegiate athletes who their bodies are just not used to playing from September or training camp starts in August all the way until February. That's way, way too much. That's like playing in the NFL. But Loro, for the rest of the sports segment, I will hand it over to you, man. So go ahead.
All right, let's start with our MLB segment first. So here's a question for all of you. Is that if you gave an MLB team a name after something on Thanksgiving, what would it be? I'm going to go last in this one because I haven't thought about that yet, but I'm going to start with Callan first. What would you give a team after something on Thanksgiving? What would it be?
Before Callan goes, I know Callan has that look on his face like, what? Who came up with these questions?
I'm aware of who wrote the script for 3. I know it was you.
No, it was actually Adam that came up with the question because I told him, give me something Thanksgiving sports related. So he came up with that question. But, Callan, go ahead.
I will defer to Isaiah because I know he wrote that question. So, Isaiah, it's all over to you, man.
For me, it's easy. Something Thanksgiving related, right? Who doesn't drink pina coladas on Thanksgiving? It would be the Hawaii pina coladas. And there we go. Someone walks off the set. But in all seriousness, though, I think there should be a baseball team in Hawaii. I've been clamoring for that for a long time. Hawaii doesn't have a NFL, NBA, or baseball team.
The team you hate the most had their AAA team out there in the 80s, sir.
That's true. But since we're making it Thanksgiving related, the Hawaii pumpkin pies. I mean, because the pumpkin pies is my favorite food, and Hawaii is my favorite city where I want a professional team at. So Hawaii pumpkin pies. Chris, Loro, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Seattle. They already have the Kraken. They already have the Seahawks. Seattle has a baseball team already. I'm going to go with a team in Las Vegas. I will probably call them the
Las Vegas Athletics. There we go, baby. It's already over.
Las Vegas Suns, if they had to expand.
Thank you, Casey. We don't need Major League Baseball in Hawaii. Minor league team would be fine, but that was back in the 80s because, my beloved Padres, who Isaiah despises for some reason, had the Islanders as their affiliate playing at Aloha Stadium way back in the day, so yes.
And what about you, Chris?
Let's go. St. Louis Turkeys. I don't know.
He's going with the Philadelphia Turkeys. I like that. You know, I hate to say this, but I got to go with the Boston Pilgrims. I think that was a team way back in the early 1920s. So I'll go Boston Pilgrims.
I love it. Boston Pilgrims.
There we go.
All right. So now let's talk about somebody is on the trade block for the Oakland A's, and I kind of talked about it on Thursday and with Matt Olson. And I'm going to tell you guys my official trade projection and where he's going to go. I predict Matt Olson is going to be a Dodger. And I will read you right now who I have going to the Oakland Athletics in my proposed trade. You can agree with me on it or you can disagree on it. I'm
already disagreeing, but go on.
Gavin Lux, Matt Beatty, Luke Craley, and Mitch White in return going to Oakland for that. So, Isaiah, I'm going to start with you on this one. You work for the A's. What do you think about that trade proposal?
I think it's decent, but I think the A's would want more because John Heyman reported today that they're shooting for the moon in regards to the potential return for Matt Olson. I mean, this guy hit 39 home runs last season. He made the All-Star team. Plus, he's got 2 more years of 2 more years before he's a free agent. So whatever team he gets traded to, they're going to have to send him a massive haul in exchange for Matt Olson. So for me, I got the Yankees because I think you start with Gleyber Torres. I think Gleyber Torres, Yankee fans basically hate him for no reason. I don't know why. I mean, he plays good enough defense at short. He can
But expect I say it's New York.
Well, that is true, but I think Gleyber just doesn't. I don't think he wants to be in New York anymore because they just given up on him. And I think the organization has given up on him as well. I think Gleyber would be a good start, and then you probably throw in Luke Voigt because if Olson's at first base for the Yankees, why would you need Luke Voigt? He would basically be there would be no room for him. So Voigt would be a throw in, and then I think you would probably have like 3 of the Yankees' top 3 prospects all getting traded to Oakland, and I think that would probably be the haul that you get because I think that Billy Beane and Brian Cashman, they've been making a lot of trades with each other. So they do have that relationship. Remember the Sonny Gray trade? And then you do have, I believe the Gary Sheffield trade was also there and the David Justice trade as well. So there's been a lot of great trades between these 2 organizations. And I think that they have a bond between these 2 organizations. So that's why I'm going with New York for the Dodgers. I really don't know. I just think New York, they want to make a splash after the season that they had, which did not end the way that they wanted.
Absolutely. Like I predict that Corey Seager is going to re-sign with the Dodgers or go to the Yankees. He could fit either way. So, Kellen, I'm going to go with you on this one. What is your thoughts on my trade proposal for Matt Olson to be a Dodger? And also, I have a Padres question for you, and I want to read you what I have with what I think the Padres are going to do this offseason.
That Dodgers package sounds like it's too much to give up for one guy. I mean, you're really going to give up, 2 guys who are on the roster, guys who are up and down. I don't think the Dodgers are that stupid to make that move. Simple answer is San Diego. You can literally package Eric Hosmer and maybe Jurickson Profar, maybe even Mackenzie Gore, whose name is now in trade talks. Ship them up to Oakland for Bassett and Olson, and and what does Oakland get? They get, a promising left-hand pitcher, a veteran first baseman, utility man, and also they get money. How does that work? Because they can pay half of Hosmer's salary, and Olson comes to San Diego. Simple as that. I think that's where, in fact, things go. And I think that the Yankees have to be in there as well. I think they're not going to be able to sign Anthony Rizzo. I think that they're probably at their wits' end with Luke Voigt because of his health recently. So I would go with the Yanks, but I think San Diego's a bigger target because they have been trying. I think you guys know during the course of last season, they tried to move away that Hosmer contract and no one took the bite. I think as well that with the A's letting Bob Melvin come to San Diego may in fact have something to do with it as well. And also that Billy Beane is a San Diego boy. He's from here, played high school ball at Mount Carmel High. He is a San Diego native, and that they have done business in the past before. So I don't sleep on San Diego. And I know that Isaiah hates the Padres for literally no reason, and I know that Loro and I have our beef because we're divisional rivals. But I really think though that San Diego guys cannot be, they have to be thrown in the mix on every player because as you have seen since 2015, guys, this is a ball club who is no longer afraid to be in hiding like Isaiah's A's and spend the money. They are out there now every time and every chance they get. So I think that Olsen to San Diego could be a fit because of that Hosmer contract. That's going to be probably their main thing over the course of this offseason is getting that Hosmer contract, maybe even Will Myers' contract off the books come the start of this season, if there is even a season.
There will be a season, Kellen, and I know that they will. I mean, I think that Hosmer to the A's would be decent, but you said you would have to throw in Will Myers in there too if you were to get Matt Olson.
I don't think you have to throw. I don't think you have to throw Myers in there. I think you have to throw in maybe a prospect somewhere like Hassel III, maybe Mackenzie Gore. I don't think this guy is going to be able to live up to that hype that he had when he was drafted, and he literally, guys, was in the Padre spring training facility working on his delivery and his mechanics last season, and he was nowhere to be seen. So I think he's gone, MIA. So I don't really think he has a spot right now on this team. So I think that if there's any suitor out there, I think that Oakland, a team who could probably begin their fire sale, but also more importantly, get revenue, and get money on their payroll would be a very huge thing for that organization. So I think that, and I think though that, like I said though, you kind of have to throw out this narrative about the Padres not being aggressive. That whatever free agent guys is out there, regardless of the asking price, you have got to have them on your radar, because as we have seen, guys, over the past 6 seasons, I know it hasn't panned out, but over the past 6 seasons, this Padre ball club has just kicked that can down the road of, hey, we can't spend, we can't do this. They've been aggressive, and I think that you have to be very mindful when A.J. Preller does, in fact, come knocking, that there's going to be some lucrative deal out there and that the Padres are going to be in on every big name over the course of this offseason, whether Isaiah likes it or not.
And then also, Kellen, I predicted that your Padres would sign Nelson Cruz, assuming that the DH will be coming to the National League, which I think it will. What are your takeaways on that? And do you think that if Nelson Cruz is a Padre, do you think that he would be a really good fit there?
Only depends on the DH rule, which I still don't think is going to come to the National League. Just to my honest opinion, I really don't think it's going to. But if he does, I'm getting a little tired of these former Rangers coming to my ball club. I mean, Chris, I love you and love your team, man, but I'm tired of all these former Rangers coming to San Diego, man. But, and I think, though, it was interesting, though, that the Padres were even in on him last season when there was no DH to play first base, because they were getting, I guess, very fed up with Eric Hosmer and his offensive production last season, which is why I think that he would, in fact, is going to be dealt, over the course of this offseason. Again, whether it's Oakland, whether it's the Yankees, whether it's some team who has a first baseman and they want to, take on some salary, that I think that again, I don't know about Cruz. I know he's up there in age, but unless the DH comes, I don't see any National League team going after Nelson Cruz. He would have to be an AL guy, and I really still don't think that the DH is coming to the game, sadly.
I think it might, but if it doesn't, then it's okay. I could see maybe probably pitchers hitting again. So anyways, I want to welcome Big B to the show.
I wouldn't be against that.
Want to welcome Big B to the show. So Brandon, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. Just got off of work. Thought I'd jump on for this Thanksgiving special so I can give thanks for all of Isaiah's ironic and wild takes. It's made my day happy every time I hear them.
Isaiah loses again.
Yeah,
So you guys are talking about the Cruz. Yeah, I heard Cruz to the Padres is a possibility if they get the DH rule. I really hope he comes back to Minnesota for one more year, but we'll see what happens there.
Big B, just for you, buddy. There it is, in its prime glory, buddy, right behind me.
Yeah. I bet you he still can't name who that is and what team he plays for.
Exactly.
Aaron Banks, baby.
Who?
Paul Banks. Paul Banks.
Paul Banks? Oh my God.
Anyways, guys, I'll tell you this. I think it's going to come down to 3 teams for Matt Olson, as Callan pointed out. It's going to be between the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Padres for Matt Olson's services.
Yep. I see that happening.
I don't know about the Dodgers. That package just sounds like it's too much to give up for one guy for maybe 2 years of team control. I don't know if I'm on board with that one.
I could also see Boston, too, because, Boston always likes to make those splashy moves as well. Maybe the Mets, because, the Mets want to just spend. And who's their GM? Sandy Alderson right now.
Well,
their GM is Billy Epler, not Sandy Alderson.
Oh, Come on, Callan. Billy Appler is the GM in title, but you know who? It's Mr. Alderson, who is running president of baseball ops for the New York Mets.
He also wrecked my Padres years ago. Well, what else is new? Loro, back over to you.
All right. So, anyways, I think in the Matt Olson trade sweepstakes is going to be between the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Padres. Got a long off season to get to. So, anyways, now let's talk about Justin Verlander staying with the Ash. Let's go to Chris on this one. So, do you think that it's too much for the A's to give up Matt Olson if he was a Dodger or something like that?
I'm sure. I mean, he's really good, and it just depends on who wants him. But I could see it happening.
Yeah, maybe so. So, anyways, let's talk about Chris Bassett next, who's also on the trade market for the A's. So, Isaiah, I'm going to start with you on this one. Where do you think he ends up being traded to?
I don't really know, honestly, because I think you could make an argument that every team in Major League Baseball needs starting pitching. You cannot have enough starting pitching in your organization. So I think a lot of teams are going to be in the running for him. And I think that he was one of the guys that absolutely got screwed when it came to AL Cy Young. But, that's going to be a different story we're saving for a different day. But
what was his ERA?
No comment. But
what was his ERA?
It was like 3.6.
Hey, Kellen, why do you ask that? Chris Bassett has the capability of being an ace.
I don't think he goes to the AL. I really don't, because I think that if he's going to get traded, I would say it will be to an NL team. I think,
the team you hate the most needs starting pitching, Isaiah.
Hey, that could happen because Bob Melvin knows him. Chris Bassett had a really emotional tweet about Melvin going to the Padres, so that could happen. And, San Francisco, although I don't think the A's and Giants have made a trade since like early 2000s, they need starting pitching. The only guy that they have right now in the rotation is Logan Webb. And I would say Philadelphia because, the Phillies, they definitely need starting pitching as well. They got to fix that rotation behind Nola, behind Zach Wheeler. Zach Eflin's coming back, Kyle Gibson. I mean, Bassett would give them more depth in the starting rotation.
Definitely would. I mean, I think that Chris Bassett could be an ace on any staff here. So you think that, Isaiah, when it comes to the A's, you think that Matt Chapman will remain in? And I also want to throw in where Marcus Semion's going to go to. I predict he's going to be a San Francisco Giant. What do you think, Isaiah?
I got a sneaky pick for where Matt Chapman will go. And I think I might be biased here. I think Matt Chapman goes to Philadelphia, honestly, because I think.
My gosh!
Well, here's why. Because Philadelphia's given up on Alec Bohm. It seems like they sent him down to the minors to try to fix his swing and all that stuff.
And here you called Alec Bohm the face of baseball. Go figure.
When Dave Dombrowski was asked about Alec Bohm, he had his comments were not like that confident in Alec Bohm. So that's why I really think that Matt Chapman, Philadelphia makes sense. They need.
And you called him the face of baseball. Unbelievable.
I mean, Callan, you think that Chris Bassett could be to an NL team, but I was going to ask you, do you think that I pick Marcus Semien going to his hometown San Francisco Giants because I think the Giants need a second baseman, they need a leadoff hitter, I think that they need to go for the fences when it comes to starting second baseman.
We'll see how aggressive they'll be. I mean, like I said, I like watching Donovan Solano play second base. I know it was kind of a revolving door, so maybe Semien goes to San Francisco. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But certainly, there's a market out there, and I don't know though if he would go back to the Blue Jays. I think that they probably already, have a lot of guys already on their team as is, between Biggio and guys like that and Bo Bichette and whatnot. But maybe he goes back, maybe he doesn't, but I think that the Giants, we'll see what they're, how aggressive they actually are and what they really need to tweak after that great season they had last year.
What about this? What about they also need a center fielder too? They could move Mike Yastrzemski to right. What about them getting Starlin Marte?
That wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, I wouldn't mind him in San Diego either, because that there is a corner outfield spot open because the Padres will not have Tommy Pham back for next season. So there's certainly going to be, a premium, I think, for left fielder or a corner outfielder. I know, of course, that the Padres have Adam Frazier. But that, though, guys, was a trade, though, that really didn't have to be made by the Padres, because you already have, a second baseman in Jake Cronenworth. Yeah, you could have moved him to first base. And then your left fielder was basically, Pham or Frazier. And, of course, that Frazier's not really, a big bopper kind of power-hitting guy. He's a contact, base hit, ball and play, contact kind of hitter. And that's not really what the Padres, I think, have kind of made themselves into with the likes of Tatis Jr. and Machado, and even, with Hosmer and Myers and Grisham and those guys. So I look more at maybe Marte to San Diego. Perhaps that's a wild card, but maybe even in San Francisco, there's gaping holes across all these teams in some capacity. So who really knows?
I think that you guys will start. I think Callan. I think you guys will start Adam Frazier in left. I think you guys will start Trent Grisham in center, and then in right field you get Will Myers, and then catcher. Would it be Victor Caratini or Luis Campusano?
I think it'll be Caratini, because I think he's on league minimum right now. I think Austin Nola's health is probably going to be a very big talking point about whether he is effective this season or not. Campusano, I know he wasn't really hitting the ball very well. I think he also had a bit of a hand injury too. That kind of, I think, spurs his playing time a bit. So, maybe catcher's another spot, but I think just right now for the Padres, it's pitching and at least one, maybe two outfielders, and obviously trading away those contracts, or at least the contract of Hosmer. I more so want to wait and see with Will Myers, because I think he deserves to finish out the season here, because he's been through, the ups and downs of the past, 7 seasons, guys, in a nutshell, with him coming over and he being the sole survivor of that 2015 rebuild with Kemp and Norris and Justin Upton and those guys. And I think he deserves to at least be here throughout the course of the remainder, at least until the trade deadline. And I think if the Padres are out of it, you can probably deal away that contract maybe, perhaps. But I think, though, if you're in the playoff running after the deadline, I think he deserves to stay to finish out this season. I think if he has a great year, though, too, maybe it makes things easier for him to pick up more money away from San Diego once the year concludes. But, I know that Will's also been in the trade market talks, so with Hosmer, because of the contracts. But I think he deserves, and it's probably an unpopular opinion, I think he deserves to be here for at least a good chunk of the season until the record maybe goes, sideways by the time the deadline rolls around next season. But who really knows?
And then what about the rotation? I think Yu Darvish is your number one, Blake Snell number 2, and then look who's coming back, Mike Clevenger. That's going to be a big addition to the Padres there. Callan, what do you think about that? You get Joe Musgrove as your 4, and then number 5 is Chris Paddock. What's your thoughts on that rotation?
I want to see how Clevenger throws in springs. Because I think, guys, we all know that Tommy John is, an uphill battle. I've had so many former teammates of mine who have battled Tommy John in their careers. And sadly, Corey Black, who was a teammate of mine at Mission Bay High School, who was drafted by the Cubs, he's gone, I think, twice, maybe 3 times under the knife for Tommy John. He finally said, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm done playing. I think he retired. So we don't really know, though, how, some guys have come back great from Tommy John. I know that, of course, Clevenger, he looked good in spurts before he was hurt. I know he tried to pitch through the pain against the Dodgers in the 2020 DS, though. He may have done more harm than good, though. But this, I think, is going to be, other than the outfield, this is the main priority for A.J. Preller is, forget the offense, go get pitching. Whether, you can somehow get Scherzer, I doubt it, but at least go out there and get some depth out there, some veterans or some guys who've been around the block. And if you have to pay, you got to pay. That's what you have to do, is you have to pay for starting pitching, and even, I think, pitch or pay for relief pitching as well. But certainly, I like Darvish up the top. If Snell is what he was in the second half of the season with his dominant performances, as long as the offense can come through, I like him at the 2. I do like having Clevenger being 3rd. Joe, former teammate of mine as well. Him and I grew up together and we played for a long time. So I, in fact, like him being 4. Chris Paddock, I'm really wondering about him. I think he is still too much in his own head and reading the social media banter, and that really, I think, killed him in 2020. In the 2020 season, of course, he also got hurt last season. Their fifth starter is pretty much right now a black hole. You don't know if Paddock's going to be on his A game one day to the next. You don't know about Lamette's health. You went out there and got Jake Arrieta and Isaiah's boy Vince Velasquez to just patch up the rotation for the remainder of the season. And that's where things went down south when they went 20 games below 500. So I think it's more about acquiring depth. And if you have to, you got to sell the farm again. You already have enough guys as is. I know you don't want to give up on Hassel the third or C.J. Abrams or even Mackenzie Gore, but it's simple as this. Any shortstop prospect in the Padres system, get him out of here. You've got Tatis Jr., the face of baseball, Isaiah, whether you want to believe it or not, under contract for 14 more seasons, and a long way to go. There's going to be no need to bring up guys from the shortstop realm, or at least play shortstop at this point in time. So that's one thing. But certainly, I don't know about Gore. I like Hassel the third. He does strike out a lot, though, at the minor league level. But again, it's very early. And again, we really don't know, though, guys, when these guys are going to sign contracts because there's still so much up in the air. Loro, I applaud you, man, for being optimistic about the season. But just reading stuff, man, and I'm trying to stay optimistic. But I don't know, though. I mean, I think that the longer that this drags out, there's too much uncertainty. Yeah, Correa may go to the Tigers, but at what price, though? Because I think that owners don't want to budge right now on giving Scherzer and Correa these big money contracts because there's just so much uncertainty. And I think you have to accept the uncertainty right now that there may not be a season for a month, 2 months, or maybe even a season at all right now. So I'm kind of waiting with bated breath, but again, we'll really see what happens. But I don't think we really can judge the offseason right now based off of maybe 4 or 5 small moves and a couple of new managers in place on it because there's just way too much up in the air right now. And probably a lot of, people going through tables like they're Bills Mafia right now behind closed doors with all the meetings right now.
Yeah, I mean, I do expect the new collective bargaining agreement to be agreed upon by December 1st. I mean, based on what Rob Manfred was saying, folks, it makes me optimistic. I mean, I know what he's doing. He's a labor expert.
I don't mean to interrupt. I want to be optimistic, but I cannot trust one damn word coming out of that commissioner's mouth. Him and Goodell are the same exact way. They say a lot. They talk a big game. They're all bark, but they're no bite. They never take action, whether it's off the field issues with domestic violence in the NFL or in this case with the CBA in baseball. Until I'll believe it when I see it, when it's actually signed and we see, the signatures like it's like this is the Constitution in 1776. Right. Until I see people's names in ink written on that Constitution, no, I'm not going to believe one damn thing that happens with the baseball front office.
And we saw with the COVID stuff, it took a long time to get baseball restarted.
Until July to start the season.
Right. I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, I think if anything, fellas, last season should be the perfect way to think about the baseball meetings. And it could be a lot worse, I think, because I think that probably this will drag on for much longer than probably we'd like for it to drag on because of the stubbornness of the ownership group, the players trying to rally. In a way, this is like Star Wars. You have the big evil empire and all the owners against the rebel alliance being the players, and you know that nothing is going to happen at this rate. And again, Manfred and Goodell are all bark and no bite. And they don't want the responsibility to be able to do anything right. So, I want to see baseball. I want to see the Padres play and hopefully make a run at the World Series for the first time since '98 and actually win the damn thing finally.
Oh, Calvin, they're not going to win. Look who's the better team. It's the Dodgers in the NL West. We didn't win the division last year because of all the injuries that we had, but I know that we're going to be fully healthy heading into next year. That's what I want to see from my boys in blue.
But I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, I just don't want to put all my eggs in the basket about a season because one overbearing presence of the league commissioner's office is going to rule the roost for the next
Calvin, look, I was telling you this. I was messaging you this that Rob Manfred is a labor expert. He's worked in labor relations since 1998. Get it through your head. He knows what he's doing when it comes to the CBA.
I sure hope so. I mean, if he's this labor expert and guru, where's the proof from last season? I beg to differ, but we'll see what happens.
So. Absolutely. So, anyways, Ishmael has a question for you, Chris. He asked you, what are your thoughts on the Rangers extending Chris Woodward?
I'm okay with it. I mean, he struggled the last few years, and then of course last year was COVID. I think he's going to be a good manager, going forward. It's just hard to tell. I think it's a good move.
It's probably a good move here. So also, Big B, what is your for the Twins? I mean, you DFA'd a lot of your players. You have Josh Donaldson as only your best player, and then you have Kenta Maeda going into Tommy John surgery. Are the Twins rebuilding?
They're always rebuilding. It's the Twins. They got the money to spend, but they never do it. Donaldson's not the Twins' best player by far. You got Buxton, who, he's the best Twin right now. He's the face of the franchise if he stays healthy. They got a lot going on. They released some guys that I kind of liked and thought they'd be up and comers, but they released them to the Rule 5 draft. I don't think the Twins make a big splash. They need a lot of pitching. I would like to see them go after Story at shortstop because we got a big hole there to fill, but I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm with Colin. I think you're not going to see much big names moved right now due to the uncertainty of the CBA. And I'm with you, Lobro. I hope it gets done. I really do. Right now, I'm more with Colin right now that I don't see it happening. But come the end of November, hopefully there's a miracle and we get everything signed by December 1st and there's no hiccup in the season. So, but for the Twins, I don't see them doing anything major right now. Just like a lot of teams, I think they're all going to sit back and just kind of wait till what the CBA comes out.
Actually, speaking of which, Rob Manfred had some comparisons when I took from his press conference on Thursday. He said that an off-season lockout is different than a labor dispute. He also said that it's about avoiding to doing damage in the season. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on that, and I'm going to say that from what I heard, taking away from what I heard from Rob Manfred speak in his press conference on Thursday, I 100% believe that we're going to get a CBA done because he really thinks he is patient with this process. He knows what he's doing with labor relations and all that. But Christy Wilson, you said something like Rob Manfred being pathetic as an MLB commissioner. He is a pathetic commissioner in other aspects too, like the rules of the game. 3-batter minimum. That rule is kind of like, what do you think? Why? And then the pitch clock thing is going to be coming in the new CBA, it looks like. That's what Rob Manfred was pointing out. And then Casey King has a question here. You all think that the A's will get a new stadium in Oakland, or will they bolt for Vegas? Isaiah, let's start with you.
God, he sounds like me.
Oakland's going to Vegas. Plain and simple.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, Oakland to Vegas. Don't want it to happen, but I see it.
I don't want it to happen either. I mean, Oakland's put out some good teams, historic players and stuff, but they're going to Vegas.
Sorry about that, guys. I choked on a Sour Patch watermelon just now. But
Thank you, Christy. Please don't die on us, Isaiah. We got a long way to go tonight. Good grief.
Oh man, don't worry. I'm not gonna die on you guys. I think I got it out of my system. But I'm probably gonna be biased because I work for the team and I don't want to get fired by the organization for saying that they're gonna move. So for me, I'm gonna say that I think they stay in Oakland because they've actually made some progress in Oakland with the whole Jack London Square Howard Terminal Stadium thing. They've actually made more progress than they had before during the whole 20 years before this regime took over in terms of planning for that stadium. So I'm optimistic. like the whole labor negotiations thing. I don't know, but I'm optimistic that they'll get something done. But I personally want to see them stay in Oakland because I don't want to lose my job. I gotta say, I have a really cushy gig in Oakland, and working for the A's and working for that organization. I know we're gonna talk about what we're thankful for later on in the show, but I am pretty thankful for that. Pretty grateful for that.
Also, guys, what did you guys think of Manfred's comments comparing a lockout versus a labor dispute? Callan, what are your takeaways on that?
I want to address the question from Casey in regards to this, and I'm with B and Mr. Bacon. I want them to stay, but I just think that it's not going to happen. I think that baseball is kind of beginning to look at the NHL and begin to expand. I mean, we've added Vegas, we've added Seattle in the NHL. And I think that, I think that the league is more so getting tired of the waiting game with city politics. And I also think, though Isaiah, I think he said something about this, but, the fact that I can look at the A's schedule, guys, and see 2 games against the Guardians being played at that ballpark in Vegas kind of tells me that one foot's already out the door. Yeah, it may not be a big ordeal, though, but already beginning to kind of test the market. I think that Isaiah can confirm or deny, but I think that they've already sent out fan surveys, about the team possibly moving, where do you want to see the A's play? Oakland or in Las Vegas. I think with them doing the surveys, plus them playing those 2 exhibition games, though it's like a traditional thing that they do, and the fact that they've already played a couple of games in the past at Cashman Field way back in the day when I was younger, that just kind of tells me that they already have like a pinky toe or their big toe kind of already out the door. But I also think, though, guys, that this move, though, I think, you may not agree with me, though, this move, I think, if in fact it does happen with them going to Vegas, is going to open the door for expansion to Nashville, to Montreal, maybe to Puerto Rico, maybe to other places, because I think that baseball has been kind of looking at the NHL. They're looking at maybe the NBA, and that the NBA G League has added a team south of the border in Mexico City. The NFL wants to go to 40 teams and put teams back in St. Louis and maybe back in San Diego. They want 2 teams in London, for heaven's sake. So I think that baseball's finally realizing, oh, wait, if we expand our league, we get to have new fans. Let's move the A's out. Let's have Isaiah lose his job, because we're so, running out of time, because we're so tired of city politics, that we want to move the team out. So let's move them out of Vegas and let's just open up doors to fan bases in Nashville. Go back to Montreal, put a team in San Juan, Puerto Rico, put a team in Mexico City, maybe. Why not go to London? You can make a baseball stadium in London, and I think that they already have laid that groundwork. I think that I thought it was very great that they even had that they had the Yanks and Red Sox. I know they were playing games. I think they were playing at a cricket ground. I think, or at Tottenham Stadium for pro soccer. It seemed like the UK fans embraced it. So I think, though, that baseball is finally realizing, though, that the NFL's gone to London. The NBA might be expanding. The NHL's already expanded. Professional lacrosse is expanding. Major League Soccer's expanded. The NWSL's expanding. They're like, oh, let's finally catch up and let's start expanding ourselves. So let's get out of Isaiah's hometown and go to Vegas. Let's get that ballpark built. And again, Isaiah, I think it's a valid point, though. With them playing these 2 games against the Guardians now in Vegas, that just shows me that they want nothing more to do with Oakland. I know this is like a traditional thing. That was like when the Padres, always played the Angels in San Diego and in Anaheim in spring training, years ago, long time ago, and back when they were even in Yuma and in Palm Springs, though. But just the fact, though, especially now that you see this happen with the A's playing these 2 spring training games, in Vegas versus the Guardians, to test the market. And I think, Isaiah, can you confirm or deny, but I think I've read something, though, that A's season ticket holders have even gotten surveys about like the potential future location of the organization too.
They actually have. I am in a couple of A's groups, and a lot of the season ticket holders were like, what the heck? Why did we get this survey for Las Vegas? And I think they also sent it out to the A's AAA teams fans as well. I'm having a brain fart currently, and I don't know what the Las Vegas team is called.
The Aviators.
I was going to say the Aces, but the Aviators.
That's Reno. That's the Diamondbacks AAA affiliate, sir.
Right. But yeah.
And the Aces is also the Vegas WNBA team, sir.
Exactly. So
who did not win the championship last year either.
But yeah, I can confirm they have sent it to the Las Vegas Aviators fans as well as Oakland A's season ticket holders as well, and a lot of them are really pissed off. But I don't like it's that, and also the fact the inevitable fire sale, and also the fact that the A's are reportedly going. I believe they are going to increase season ticket prices in Oakland by 50%, by double. So it's really bad right now. That's why I've been saying, with the fire sale, the inevitable fire sale, with the surveys that were sent out, with the whole Vegas thing that's looming, and with the fact that they're going to increase ticket prices by double what it was this past season. I really think that next season when I go to work for the Oakland A's, we're only going to see 2,000 people on a consistent basis. Which, for me,
I want to draw that parallel real quick because I'm not going to let Isaiah ruin my beloved game of hockey. But he's right though, guys, about this sort of ordeal. And I have seen this with the Arizona Coyotes, who have had nothing but issues. Casey can agree with this. We talked about this when I saw him at the Kings Coyotes game I went to back in September for a preseason game. I know Isaiah thought that they were playing at the same arena as the Suns, which is clearly not the case. They're playing in Glendale, not in downtown Phoenix where the Suns currently play. But this is the same type of thing. Let's go. I told this to Isaiah one night on the phone. The Coyotes and A's are very similar. Let's wreck the team. Let's fire sale away the big name guys. Let's jack up ticket prices. Then we can go to the league front office and say, well, look, we had this many people show up this year. We want out of this market right now. And I think, as I have said, though, guys, with the fact, though, that the A's are playing these games, I know it's 2 games against the newly named Cleveland Guardians, but the fact, though, that they're playing 2 games at this stage of this stadium debate right now in Las Vegas to test the market, and to Isaiah's point, though, about the fan surveys and the season tickets being jacked up and the fire sale, this is all, guys, ingredients to wreck the organization and get some logical, excuse to say, well, we did this, we had to sell off the team, or sell the guys away, so let us move to Las Vegas, and, case closed, and Oakland loses their 3rd team, in about a 10-year stretch. And that, obviously is what I think is going to happen. So to Casey's point, I think it's going to be Vegas, regardless of what Isaiah thinks, sadly. But, I think it's inevitable. But I think just more so, it's a move that's going to be done, though, guys, to help expand the league and add teams in Nashville. Because, Nashville right now has a group trying to get a team down there, head man by Justin Timberlake right now. They're moving their AAA team for the Brewers back to the main stadium in downtown Nashville this upcoming season. So Nashville's a possibility. Bring back the Expos. Maybe go to Puerto Rico and add a team in San Juan, because I know the Expos are trying to do that. The Rays, I think, too, are playing half their games this year in Montreal. So you have 2 teams in the same exact boat right now. So this is going to be, addition by subtraction. You're going to lose Oakland, sadly. All right, Isaiah, maybe sorry, not sorry. I don't know what to think about that. But you're going to lose Oakland, but you're going to add Vegas, maybe Nashville, Montreal, and maybe Puerto Rico. You're going to add 4, older new cities. And you're going to have new baseball fans, guys. And what's the one thing we've kind of talked about with baseball is getting people into the game. Montreal wants a team back. Nashville would certainly love a team. Why not in Puerto Rico? I mean, you can go and have a 3-city road trip. Tampa Bay, maybe. Tampa Bay, Miami, San Juan, and then you go back home. And maybe you perhaps go to Mexico City. I doubt that, though. But certainly addition by subtraction. Sadly, it'll come at the cost of Isaiah and his beloved A's to Vegas, but then new market in Vegas, old market in Montreal, new market in Nashville, potential wild card market down in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And if I had to guess about the Coyotes leaving, Quebec, Houston, Hartford maybe, KC, Salt Lake City. There you go.
All right. So anyways, moving on now to the NBA, folks. So anyways, let's talk about the Lakers last night. They got creamed in Boston by a mediocre Celtics team, 130 to 108 in LeBron James'
mediocre
return.
Celtics team.
And they thus dropping the Lakers to 8-9 in the young season. what do you believe is the root of the Lakers' issues? And it's time to press the panic button in LA. I'm a Laker fan. I'm going to go
the panic button because this roster is old, outdated, and washed up. Simple as that. Bucks and Six.
AARP Lakers.
Why do you say that, Callan?
I've said Bucks and Six for a while. I'm going to stay with
the championship, and they should be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference.
They should be, but they're not because these guys play me ball. This is not a team effort right now with this Lakers ball club, and they've been exposed over the past, several games because the roster is just too old in my mind, and these guys were not. Like I said, the roster was not going to last for 82 games. I know I've been away from you guys since the start of my announcing season, but I remember damn well on the Sports Lounge saying this Laker roster scares the heebie-jeebies out of me. And they are right now at 8-9. Again, they got creamed by a very dominant. And by the way, Isaiah, the defending NBA champion Bucks wiped the floor clean with them at Pfizer Forum. And the Celtics, of course, they did the same thing last night.
So did the Timberwolves.
I mean, like I said, and Big B's beloved Minnesota Timberwolves too, though no one calls them Timber for some reason anymore, except for me and my man Sean Parker. So again, the reason why. The roster, you can't be out here trying to build super teams. Yes, it works, but it works like what? Once in a blue moon or once, when the dark side of the moon comes around, once when Isaiah gets one of his gazillion sports takes right. I don't know. And again, I'm pressing the panic button. And sadly, I think though, guys, this is going to cost Frank Vogel his job because there's too many egos on this roster and too many guys are saying, well, he's not doing this. Well, we're not doing that. Well, we're doing this, No, I mean, season's over. I don't care how early in the season is. These guys are not going to mesh. This is worse, I think. What? This is worse than the hallway rivals and the Clippers who have done this for the past several seasons. Now it's the Lakers doing all of this sort of stuff and not doing this like the Suns, like my beloved Bucks, like other teams who have figured it out already. Right now, there's too much of this and too much of this, too much of this going on. Hey, I'm the main guy. No, not the whole team is losing. This is not an individual sport. So, I mean, I'm pressing the panic button because this Lakers roster is old, outdated, washed up, and they're not going anywhere. And yes, Isaiah, Bucks and 6.
I'm not panicking on the Lakers just yet. I really think that LeBron had a point, that I think that this team will be fine. But, I mean, Casey King had something to say about it. He said that the Lakers have too many aging head cases and no leadership. But LeBron is a great player. I agree. He's no leader, and Anthony Davis is too fragile. Anthony Davis can be fragile. I mean, that's what I think.
Like I've said too, 10 years ago, this Laker team built right now, 10 years ago, phenomenal. No doubt about it. They're in their prime.
Not so much.
Well, not so much. I mean, what is LeBron holding on to right now? I mean, he's hurt. 50% of the time. What's he holding on to? Is he really trying to stick around to play with his son? I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I mean, Davis on the injury reports almost daily. I mean, who else is they got there? So
now the young guys are hurt too. Like, it's not just the vets. The young guys are hurt. Yeah.
They need to get a sponsorship from AARP. I'm telling you guys. I mean.
Callan, I also don't think that Frank Vogel should get fired. He led the Lakers to the championship.
No, I don't think Frank should be fired. This is not his fault. He just can't keep these guys on the same page around because too many guys are playing for themselves and their brand and their endorsements. That's why they're losing because they're playing me ball, not team ball right now.
Yeah, they're just playing. It's like, well, I got my couple grand or whatever, and I got my endorsement.
I got my game check. Yeah, let's let Milwaukee beat us. They won the title last year just to make Isaiah look even worse. Let's have the Lakers lose to the Bucks. Let's lose to the Celtics. Let's let the sorry Wolves come in here and beat the crap out of us. I got my
Wolves aren't sorry.
I got my new kicks. I got my $1 million suit on. We're gonna go out to McCormick and Schmitz when the game's over. Let's just go out there and lose by 25. This Lakers team is nothing more than a TMZ drama lead story right now.
Here's the Lakers' problem. They don't play defense. None of them play defense.
Well, they have guys playing matador defense out there. They don't play defense. That's why they lose.
if you
How many NBA teams actually play defense? Come on now.
Well, but I mean, this Lakers team is, out of all of them, they're probably the worst right now. And Frank Vogel is supposed to be this defensive-minded coach. And Rob Pelinka, when he was asked before the season, you lost all these guys, these defenders. What are you going to do? Oh, we have Frank Vogel. He's a great coach and stuff like that. Well, yeah, you could have a great coach. You could have a great defensive schemer. But if you guys have players that are horrible defensively, it doesn't work. It doesn't work whatsoever. So the Lakers, their biggest issue right now is defense. They got to come together. They want to win a championship this season. They even want to make the playoffs this season. They got to play defense. You can't let teams score 120, 130 on you constantly and have to outscore opponents on a consistent basis.
If there's one very small saving grace, they're not the Rockets, who are 1-15 and have lost 14 straight games at least, but still.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody had a point on the Lakers here, but I also want to – here's something else we're going to talk about here. Colin Sexton had surgery on his torn meniscus and is out for the remainder of the season. How big of a blow is this for the Cleveland Cavaliers? Isaiah, I'm going to start with you on this one.
This is a gigantic blow for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was by far one of their best players, and it just sucks that he's gone for the season because, I mean, this guy was putting up really good numbers. It was I believe this was his contract year because Cleveland didn't give him that rookie extension. So he was playing for a new contract. He was trying to earn the rookie max extension from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and now he doesn't even make it to December, and now he's out for the year. Though, I think he's still going to get a good contract, though not a max or what a lot of the players in his class got. But it's a big blow because it cost him money. It's going to cost the Cavs potentially a playoff spot because with him in the lineup, they were actually fifth or sixth in the Eastern Conference, although they were going to drop, but they got off to a really good start. And, with him being gone, this is a huge blow for them. And I'm one of the guys that picked Cleveland to make the playoffs as a 7th or 8th seed. And with him being out, I don't see it anymore.
That was an Isaiah jinx, right, Big B? And Cal, what do you guys think?
Isaiah loses again.
And what about you, Chris? What is your thoughts on Colin Sexton being out for the season?
Yeah, you don't want to lose anybody to injury, but it's a big loss for Cleveland, and for right now, I think they're out of it.
Yeah, I think the Cavs are definitely out of it too. But now moving on to the NFL, so let's talk about which Week 11 games I'm looking forward to the most. I'm going to start with this one. And this game that I am looking forward to the most in Week 11, obviously the Patriots beat the Falcons. That was really, really good. I'm looking forward to actually the Steelers taking on the Chargers and seeing if the Chargers are going to bounce back at SoFi and beat the Steelers. So, Isaiah, which Week 11 game you're looking forward to the most here?
Oh, it's easy. It's got to be the Niners and the Jags because you got two of my. I'm just kidding.
How about new?
Yes.
It's not the Niners and Jags, although I will watch that game tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. But I would say the game that I'm looking forward to involves Chris's team, the Cowboys and the Chiefs. Two dynamic offenses going at it. Two top 10 quarterbacks, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes going at it. I mean, what more do you want? It's going to be a great showdown. And Cowboys defense is probably way better than the Chiefs defense, but it's going to be a shootout. And I can't wait for that matchup. And I'm definitely going to be tuning into that one and getting my popcorn ready. Like Lane Kiffin said, get your popcorn ready because it's going to be a great showdown.
Yeah, it is. Between the Niners and Jags, I mean, don't you want to see Trevor Lawrence go up against Trey Lance?
Well, it's not going to be Trey. Well, I don't think it's going to be Trey Lance because Jimmy Garoppolo is balling out the last couple of games, and the Niners The Niners are in the race, believe it or not, for the playoff spot. But So I think as long as they're in the race, they're not going to put a rookie in. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo definitely will start tomorrow. And I think, I hope I don't jinx it. Maybe I should pick the Jags to win that game so I don't actually jinx it. But the Niners, I think, will manhandle the Jaguars just because the Jaguars' offensive line is terrible. Niners got a great defensive line. Jaguars' offensive line is not that good. That's a recipe for disaster for Trevor Lawrence, and he's going to be running for his life the whole day.
Stop it. Get some help.
He sure is. And now let's go to Big B on this one. So, which Week 11 game you're looking forward to the most here?
Honestly, I mean, being a homer, yeah, Packers, Vikings, but, I don't know really what to think of that game yet, but I'm kind of choking on what I'm going to say here because I'm kind of agreeing with Isaiah with the Cowboys and Kansas City game. You got a bad defense versus a great offense. You got a great offense versus a great defense. I really think this is going to be high scoring, maybe a blowout Cowboys way. I think Chrissy put in there that Mahomes gets picked up by Diggs. I think that'll happen.
Yeah.
I just there's a lot of uncertainty in that game, and a lot of people probably picked this to be, like a Super Bowl matchup, the way the Cowboys are playing and the way the Chiefs should have been playing. But, Mahomes against Dak, hopefully everybody stays healthy. Hopefully it's a good game. I jokingly threw out there that it was going to be like 56-49, because each team can't stop them. Honestly, I can see Dallas putting up a high number because we all know Kansas City's defense is terrible. I mean, I think Crispy Bacon could probably run 100 yards on the Kansas City defense, and Isaiah could probably, maybe get a hands on somebody. But no, I think that's the game. I think that's the game of the week. I'm surprised it wasn't flexed into the Sunday night late night game. But so that's one game I'm definitely going to be watching out for.
And then what about you, Chris?
First, I do agree. I think this is the point in the season where things can start to be flexed into, other spots. But besides the Cowboys-Chiefs game, I'm going to go with the Detroit. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions game because they're going to be without Goff.
So they're going to be Goff or more.
And they're starting with another, I want to say, rookie or a different backup quarterback. And then I think Baltimore is going to be with, I'm not sure 100%, but going to be without Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's 50-50 right now that he's playing because he's got like the flu or whatever. Stomach flu, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So COVID.
That should be an interesting one. One of those.
Absolutely. Now we're going to hand it back to Isaiah as we're going to do the Pigskin Pick'em Rivalry Week Edition. I'm looking forward to that. I got my game picks in. Isaiah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Loro. But to Chris's point about the Lions quarterback mess because Jared Goff's not playing, forget starting Tim Boyle. Why not, sign Callan McClurg off the street? I mean, I met him in San Diego and he's got a good arm. But going in to... I just had to throw that in there.
Excuse me?
But on a Lions jersey, Callan, you can play Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure my team actually wins a game that day if that's the case. So take the ball and run with it, Chicago defense.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
All right, it's the Pigskin Pick'em segment time here of this Thanksgiving special. We are entering our Thanksgiving fun portion of the show. So here we go.
Uh-oh, Callan is putting Isaiah on mute here.
It's rivalry week. It is rivalry week here this upcoming week in college football. So let's start with the game between Ohio State and Michigan. The game is in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Loro, I will start with you first on this. Are you going with the Buckeyes or are you going with Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines?
I'm going with Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines. This is a redemption game, and I really think that Michigan will finally beat Ohio State.
All right, we got one for Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. Chris, how about you? Are you
I'm
going
going
with
with
the Buckeyes or Michigan?
I'm going with Ohio State. I mean, it's they haven't won a game against Michigan. I don't think. I mean, well, actually, Michigan hasn't won a game, so I'm going Ohio State.
All right, Chris goes with Ohio State, so we got 1-1. Big B, how about you? Are we taking Michigan? Or are we going with the Bucks?
Growing up, I was a Michigan fan because that's the only thing we got here in Minnesota because the Gophers are never on TV. But I got to go with Ohio State. I just, Jim Harbaugh, until he can show that he can coach against a big team like Ohio State, I can't pick him. And it would not surprise me if this is his final year in Michigan if he does lose.
All right, so we got 2-1 for Michigan and Ohio State. For me, I'm
Ohio
going with
State.
the Wolverines. I'm going with the Wolverines. This is Jim Harbaugh's best chance to beat Ohio State, and he will conquer the Buckeyes on Saturday morning. So that is 2 for 2, Michigan and Ohio State. Randy.
Ohio State, 3-2.
3-2. There we go. Ohio State and Michigan. Now let's go to Loro's favorite matchup. The Iron Bowl. Auburn, Alabama. In Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Chris, I'll start with you first on this. Are you going with the Crimson Tide or are you going with the Tigers of Auburn?
I'm going Auburn.
Wow, in an upset. Wow, okay. So we got one for Auburn. Big B, how about you?
I'm going for the guys in the striped shirts. Honestly,
that's a Lee Young pick right there, Mr. Herrera. That's a Lee Young pick right there, rooting for the Zebras. Way to go, man.
I had to. No, honestly, I really hope Auburn wins, but I think it's going to be Alabama.
Loro, I'm pretty sure we know where you're going with this, but are you going with Roll Tide or are you going with War Ego?
I wish Lee Corso was here to give me the headgear, but I'm going with Roll Tide because I think Bryce Young's going to have a big game. I'm looking forward to this matchup, and I really think that Auburn, Alabama, I'm not going to predict it's going to be a blowout. I really think that this game in particular is going to be a close game because good one, Isaiah. Good one with the elephant right there, man. I think that
I thought that was the mascot for the Vancouver Blues.
It's the mascot for Alabama Crimson Tide. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be Alabama 52, Auburn 49.
Wow, he's going with an epic shootout there at Jordan-Hare Stadium. For me, I am going with the Tigers. I am going with the the Auburn Tigers, not the Detroit
Here's you, here's Matt, there's you.
Isaiah, come on, man. Why are you being so bold on this?
Look, hey, it's late in the night. It's almost 11 here in the West.
Excuses.
But I am going with Auburn, so that's what? We got 2 and 2. Khaled, you going with War Eagle or you going with Roll Tide?
No, we got 3-1.
Tide roll.
Roll. Well, no, we got me and Loro going with Auburn, and you and Chris going with. Oh no, you and Loro going with Alabama. Me and Chris going with Auburn, and then we got Khaled, right? So 3-2.
Home Alabama by Leonard Skinnard.
The next one, the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss at Mississippi State. Big B, I'll start with you first on this. Are you going to go with Ole Miss, or are we taking Mike Leach and his Bulldogs?
I like Bulldogs, so we'll go Bulldogs.
All right, so that's 1 for Mississippi State. Callan, how about you? Ole Miss?
Make that 2 for Mississippi State.
All right, Callan's got Mississippi State. We got 2-0 Mississippi State. Chris, you're up. Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin or Mike Leach and Mississippi State on Thanksgiving Day?
I like Mike Leach, so let's go Mississippi State.
All right, so that's 3-0 in favor of Mississippi State. Loro, are you going with the Rebels or are you going with the Bulldogs?
I'm going with Ole Miss. Matt Corral's is going to be entering the NFL draft, and I expect him to have a really good game.
All right, for me, I'm going to agree with the rest of you guys and go with Mississippi State. Will Rogers is having a phenomenal year, and, who doesn't like Mike Leach? I mean, Mike Leach is one of the most quirkiest coaches in college football.
And again, you called Will Rogers handsome, too, so that doesn't surprise me one bit either.
Really? You're going to expose me like that?
Yeah.
You absolutely have to expose me like that.
We can expose a lot of you, Isaiah. I mean,
next up, we're going with the Civil War. It's Oregon
Can't
State?
call it that anymore, sir.
Oregon State at Oregon, the Battle of Oregon. We're not going to call it the Civil War. We're going to call it the Battle of Oregon between the
when did they change that?
Last season.
Was it last season? Okay.
So, Roro, I'll start with you first on this. Are you picking the Beavers or are you picking the Ducks? Keep in mind, this game is in Eugene. Loro, you got your pick?
Yes. I'm going with the Oregon Ducks.
He's going with the Ducks. Big B, how about you? Are you going with the Beavers or the Ducks?
Gotta fly high with the Ducks. So, yeah, right. Randy always knows with Beavers.
That's Randy Cox's favorite school, I think, Oregon State. He actually ripped me for wearing an Oregon State shirt last week on Kicking It with Isaiah and Ace on Coast to Coast. But Chris, how about you? Are you going with the Beavers or are you going with the Ducks?
I'm going with the Ducks. Go Oregon.
All right, so that's what, 3-0 for Oregon. Callan, take it away, man. Beavers or Ducks?
Fly together. Go Ducks.
For me, I don't know because I do have an Oregon shirt, and I also got an Oregon State little sweatshirt right here. But you know what? I'm going with the Beavers. Give me the Beavers in an upset. I don't think Oregon. Give me the Beavers in an upset because I don't think Oregon will be able to recover from that stunning loss to Oregon, Oregon doesn't play Oregon. Oregon plays Utah today.
No!
And then the last one for you guys, we got the Sunshine Showdown, the Battle of Florida. Florida State at Florida. Loro, I'll start with you first on this. Are you going to go with Florida State or are you going to go with Dan Mullen and his embattled Gators?
I'm going with Florida State.
All right, we got one for Florida State. Callan, how about you? Is it Seminoles or is it Gators?
Seminoles, and Dan Mullen gets fired after the game.
All right. Chris, you got Seminoles or you got Gators?
Florida State Seminoles.
And then Big B, take it away. Seminoles or Gators?
If you're not with Florida, you're Gator bait. So I'm going to go Florida.
This is my pick. Even though I'm a Georgia fan and, being a...
Oh, wait. If Isaiah's going Florida, I want to go Florida State. Can I change my pick?
All right, our viewers, Dragon Viper says he's got Florida State. Christy Wilson, Chomp Chomp, and Casey King says he's got Florida State in a 27-13 win. And Justin also says he's got the Seminoles as well. But going into our game ball segment tonight, which is you pick a player or a coach who had a fantastic performance this week in their game that you would like to recognize their effort. I'll start first. You guys can think about it. But for me, Will Rogers, quarterback of Mississippi State. Not because I think he's handsome, Callan, but because this guy threw for threw 5 touchdowns. He threw for 400 yards. He broke Dak Prescott's record at Mississippi State as the quarterback with the most touchdown passes at Mississippi State. So got to give him my game ball. Will Rogers, congratulations to you on a phenomenal year. But Callan, I'll throw it to you. Who are you going with for your game ball?
The San Diego Gulls for beating Isaiah's San Jose Barracuda and sweeping the 2-game series to get within a game of 500. Back over to you, Isaiah.
All right. How about you, Chris? Who are you going to hand your game ball to?
I'm going to give it to Ohio State's coach for beating Michigan again.
All right. How about you, Big B? Who is your game ball going to tonight?
We're talking about today's games, right?
It could be today. It could be anything from this week.
No, I guess I got to go. I'm going to go with the homer pick. I'm going to go with the Gophers beating Indiana today. I did think it was going to happen. So give it to the whole coaching staff, and they're rolling home.
All right. And Loro, how about you? Game ball, who you giving it to?
I'm giving my game ball to Mac Jones. He's 7-4 as an NFL starter in his rookie season. And from the get-go, when the Patriots drafted Mac Jones, I'm telling you guys this kid is already a special player. And I think as every game every time he takes the field, he continues to get better and better each week. And I can't wait for the Patriots to build their offense around him in the foreseeable future.
All right, and Christy Wilson, her game ball goes to Chip Kelly, the head coach of UCLA for the Bruins. Big-time victory today over USC.
How about them Trojans, baby? How about them Trojans, Isaiah?
Also, Casey says, my game ball goes to the Ontario Reign as they continue to kick ass in the AHL. All right. And I think that Justin's giving his game ball to Mac Jones based on his comment. But
too early.
I said we're going to have some fun because this is a Thanksgiving special. So we got 2 more segments left before we wrap this thing up. And now we go to Thanksgiving trivia. I got 1 question for each of you. 1 Thanksgiving question for each of you. I'm not going to have any questions because Chris and Laura, I told you guys this before the show. I'm not going to get embarrassed like I did last week. And Callan, we're not pulling up that James Franklin clip to show on the program tonight. But to start this
or say that the first Thanksgiving dinner lasted 1,700 years?
1,600 plus years, really, man?
So, Loro, I'll start first with you on this. What meats were served at the first Thanksgiving celebration? This was, I believe, at 1673. The first meats.
The first meat that was served in the first Thanksgiving meal, I would have to say turkey.
All right. Callan, Big B, and Chris, you guys want to take some guesses?
Ham.
First, ham. All right. Big B, how about you?
You know what? I'm going to go on a limb and say it's going to be probably fish.
All right. Callan?
I think B might be onto something. I'll go with him and say fish.
All right. And our fans, Randy Cox says turkey, and Christy says turkey as well. The answer for this question was the meats that were served at the first Thanksgiving celebration was venison, swan, duck, and goose, and there was actually no turkeys in the first Thanksgiving.
They still had bird species, though. Okay.
Yes, they did.
Venison makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let me see. So the next question, this one is for you, Chris, is what? Oh, here we go. We got this right here. How many turkeys are prepared for Thanksgiving in America each year?
Oof. Sheesh.
I'm going to say
We know one of them's not the 500-pound bear that Isaiah said.
Oh my
I would say about 3 billion.
Oh, not 500,000.
What was your
Oh,
answer,
come
Chris?
on, Randy.
3 billion.
3 billion turkeys average for Thanksgiving. All right. Callan, how about you?
I'll go a little lower. I'll go 3 million. I'll go 3 million.
All right, 3 million. How about you, Big B?
This is worse than The Price is Right.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just glad I'm not doing it. And you guys are doing it.
We want you to do it. I'll go $1 million.
$1 million? All right.
Safe
How about
answer.
you, Laurel?
I'm gonna go with 8,000.
8,000. All right.
Yeah.
The answer for how many turkeys are prepared for Thanksgiving in America each year is about 46 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 46.
Okay.
46 million. Unbelievable. Callan, you're next on the docket, my friend. For you, and I think we might have done this actually on our Coast to Coast Kicking It show. But for you, Callan, how many people participate in the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade each year?
How many actually partake in it in regards to like employees? This might be a little bit of an overstretch. I'll go 10K, 10,000.
All right. Callan goes 10K. Chris, how about you?
Oh, 5,000.
5,000. All right. Big B?
Yeah, we did have this. God dang it.
Should have studied. I'm just kidding.
I know, I should have. 50,000.
What was that? 20,000?
50.
50,000. All right. Loro, how about you? How many people partake in the parade every year?
I would say 50.
50,000? The correct answer was, and I think Callan, you were the closest to it, was 8,000. 8,000 people. Remember, this is not like the people that are like outside watching. It's the people that are
actually working the event.
Yeah, working the event. So,
Christy was close too. She said 10K as well.
Yep.
All right, Big B, have I gone to you yet?
No.
Nope.
All right, Big B, for your question is, what 18-minute monologue is performed on many rock and classic rock stations every Thanksgiving? I just picked these questions randomly. They're just randomly picked.
A dinner prayer. I don't know.
Callan, do you have an answer?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
What 18... Actually, you know what? You guys want me to give you another one?
No, read the question again.
Yeah, read the question again.
Right.
All right. What 18-minute monologue is performed on many rock and classic rock stations every Thanksgiving?
It's an 18-minute monologue.
Yeah.
I guess that would be one heck of a prayer.
Gee. Screw it. I'm just going to say it because I'm sure that there's people that play it. All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. I'm sure that there's people out there that do that on Thanksgiving Day. Like Isaiah.
There is too. Chris, how are you?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Loro, how about you?
What's the question again?
The question is, what 18-minute monologue is performed on many rock and classic rock stations every Thanksgiving?
I'm going to say 0.
0. He has no answer.
The correct answer is Arlo Guthrie's Alice Restaurant. I don't think you guys have ever heard of that.
That might have been the closest one. I don't know.
No. I mean, I said Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, but that's about it. Anyway, continue, please, Mr. Game Show host or wannabe game show host.
All right, who's next? Did I go to you yet, Loro?
You already did, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I went to you.
I think covered everybody there, bud.
I think it's Chris, right? I haven't gone to Chris yet.
Yeah, you haven't.
No, I already did.
Yeah.
Oh, so last but not least is Callan then.
You already
Hey,
have it.
Callan.
Let's do one more question.
All right.
Yeah, if you got one more, let's go.
This is for me, because you guys all know I love me some pumpkin pie, right? So the question is about how many pumpkin pies are consumed every Thanksgiving by Americans?
You alone is 1 million.
I'm gonna go 2 million.
Pumpkin pie. We don't touch pumpkin pie in my household on Thanksgiving. We do apple pie and Dutch apple pie, and that's about it. But for
Actually, speaking of apple pie, the question before that was what pies do many Americans prefer for Thanksgiving? And the question was actually surprisingly apple instead of pumpkin pie.
Yeah, because pumpkin pie is disgusting, in my opinion. So I'll go with pumpkin pies. 250,000. I don't know.
All right, 250,000. By the way, the last question. Anybody probably would not guess it if Randy Cox can't guess it, and he said, "I can't even guess what that is." Loro, how about you?
What's the question again?
Around how many pumpkin pies does Americans consume every Thanksgiving?
1,000.
1,000?
I mean, Isaiah consumes that alone in a whole year. So, yeah, I mean, that works too. So, what have you.
Chris, did you give your answer yet?
2 million. 2 million.
2 million? All right.
I'll go 5,000.
5,000. It is actually around 50 million.
Jesus.
I still
50
prefer apple
million
pie.
pumpkin pies consumed by Americans.
Apple pie is good. I mean,
It doesn't matter. Once you finish eating, you're going to be on the couch taking a nap, and the post-Thanksgiving meal will be 27-0 come Thursday in my household for me. So there you go.
Nah, you take a nap and you have the TV on to the egg boat. That's what you do.
I don't watch football, sir, so I'm not watching anything on Thursday. So there you go.
All right, going into our final segment of this Thanksgiving special. It's been a tremendous show. It's been such a fun show. Chris.
Are we sure about that?
Thanks for staying up late with us. You too, Big B. But the last segment that we have
again. Isaiah loses again.
By the way, before we get into the last segment, I just want to remind you guys, stay tuned. We do have a very special announcement that'll be coming your way during the final thoughts and announcements segment. So stay tuned for that. You won't want to miss it. And then, no, it's not Isaiah became president of MI6 or I got hired as a coach. But what? The question is, or the segment is, we're going to talk about stuff that we're thankful for. You know, Thanksgiving, it's about giving thanks. So the question that we have is, what are some things that you are thankful for this year? And, you know, Callan, I don't want to go first. I'm actually going to go with Loro first because I want to gather.
You're on screen, so you can go first, sir, because I know it's going to take you 50 minutes to talk and thank every single member of our network, sir. So get it over with now.
All right, I might cry live on the air and I might choke up, but
good. No, thank you, Casey. No, he said it right. Isaiah is the Higgins of MI6. Thank you very much. But sir, please go ahead.
All right. So for me, let me start by giving thanks to, every one of the members of both the MI6 family and the Coast to Coast family, because I love, doing these podcasts with each and every one of you guys, like almost every single day. It's so much fun. And, this partnership we got going, it's really special. It's really special what we have here with this partnership between both of these two networks. And we got something going, and I can't wait to see how far we could keep going on for. I also want to thank my folks for supporting me every single day, every single moment. And also I want to really thank this one specific gentleman. His name is Kevin, who hired me actually when I was a young 18-year-old kid, or not a kid, but I was like a young 17-year-old kid, not turned 18 yet. I was a young 17-year-old kid trying to work for the Niners. That was my dream job. And I interviewed for the job. And it was my first interview that I ever did. And I actually didn't really know much about interviewing at that time. That's why I brought a playbook to my interview. Inside of the playbook was every play that I had designed for my neighborhood football team, like this play right here. You got the other Brock Osweiler, you got the Colin Kaepernick, etc. But I somehow, some way got the job. I don't know how. I ended my interview by telling that guy that interviewed me, hey, you see this playbook? I want you to hand it to Chip Kelly because I think I could make the Niners offense that year more better than Chip Kelly can. And somehow, some way I got the job. I don't know how, but it's been a blast. Yes, it's been a blast working there. It's my 5th year now. I actually got honored with a certificate actually during our training session. So that was really cool. I want to thank him for hiring me and taking a chance on me. And, I just want to thank, all my family, friends, and loved ones. And also, wow, the last thank you I have a lot of thank yous, but I'm just going to save it because we're kind of running out of time here,
we're not running out of time. You are, because your Wi-Fi is going to go out at the top of the hour, so you can keep going for as long as you want.
I want to thank Kirby Smart and Georgia for giving me the best season that I've ever witnessed as a football fan. I mean, I don't know. What? Big B, Chris, I don't know if you guys know this, but I've been rooting for Georgia for the last 4 or 5 years. And
get back on track with thanking the network, sir, and not about other things.
I can't thank Kirby Smart, but yeah, Kirby, thank you.
They're not going to win the damn thing this year because you're a jinx.
Thank you so much. But to the network.
Here's you, here's Matt, there's you, there.
That's Georgia in the game against Alabama coming up. So please continue.
Let me start with the 5 members that we got, or the 4 members plus me that we got here. Chris, you always fill in every single show on MI6 when we need you, man. I appreciate you so much for doing that. You always come in last minute when I ask you, like, hey, man, can you hop in? Can you hop in? Like, or 30 minutes before the show when we need someone because someone backed out. Can you hop in? And you always say yes, and you always do a great job filling in, man. Really appreciative of you for doing that. Big B, I appreciate you for the amazing moments and memories that we had on both Coast to Coast and MI6, and also jumping in on the night shift with me and Loro from time to time and helping us with that show. So I really appreciate you for that. Loro, you're my partner in crime, mostly on the network, because Callan's on hiatus and a lot of people are busy doing their other stuff with work and stuff like that. But, you're a phenomenal host. That's why I always leave the hosting to you, because I know that I'm not that great of a host. And if I host shows, that I will butcher everything like I did on one of the shows on Coast to Coast. And
Isaiah loses again.
It's going to end up being an epic disaster. So thank you for being a great host. Thank you for, being a part of the night shift, being a part of Wild Sports Talk, and also being a part of many shows that we had on the network, and really helping me with this network, as well as all those other guys are doing other stuff. And then Callan, first of all, I got to thank you for handling all my BS, not only about sports, but,
Look at Callan's face right now.
I mean, the world doesn't know how much BS that I put Callan through all the time. I mean, whether it's
Every single day. It never stops.
like calls, whether it's me mentioning him in Messenger or tagging him in a Facebook post, like saying, "Oh, Callan, how about my Georgia Bulldogs?" when he doesn't care about football and other stuff like that. So thank you so much for putting up with that BS. I promise you, man, I'm trying my best to not pester you at a lot, especially when you're at work. And also, thanks for all the stuff that you do behind the scenes. Thank you for, I know, you're not feeling that well right now. Thank you also for taking the time to hop on the show, even though it was to roast me, because earlier I said something about, the Ducks and the Kings being number one. I said they're number 1 and 2 in the West Coast Conference, which was another massive brain fart. It's the Pacific Division, not the Western Conference, and not the West
The West Coast Conference is where USD Athletics plays in, sir. Come on now.
But yeah, man,
What conference you're talking about?
But yeah, once again, thank you so much for what you do for the network, and to the guys that aren't here, my partner with Kicking It, Ace. It's been a fun time doing that show with him. Also, thank you to Ace, if he's watching, for stepping up when Callan went on hiatus and being the guy that is hosting Wild Sports Talk now. So Ace, thank you so much for all the stuff that you do, and also helping me with topics like that MLB Thanksgiving topic that you gave me today, which was really creative, because I was like in a brain, I couldn't think of any topics that wasn't Niners or Lakers or whatever. Nobody wants to just do a Thanksgiving special on Niners and Lakers and the Oakland A's. So Ace, thank you for that. John Alcorn, thank you for filling in on No BS, with Callan not being able to do the show. And, thank you for giving me an easy opponent to debate in sports all the time.
I really beg to differ about that.
And man, Ben as well. Ben's been a great partner on the Extra Point. It's been so much fun doing the show with him. Furman as well. Even though he hasn't done a show in a long time, it's also great to do a show with him. And then, the other members of our network, like Shree and Martin, who they're not, you haven't seen them in a while, but they're staying active, staying busy, doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff for MI6. And, Ryan, Sammy as well. Those are another guys that I want to recognize. And I also want to recognize J-Mac, Will, Sarge, even though, his Mariners whooped my A's butt the final weeks of the season. I'm still bitter about that. Who else am I missing? Man, it's getting late, man. I need my coffee for sure. But all the members of Coast to Coast, I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting a lot of names, but every member of Coast to Coast, every member of MI6, it's been an honor to do shows with you guys every single day. And, you guys help both networks grow and help both networks reach new heights every single day. So really want to recognize everybody. Man, I didn't cry. Hell yeah. But let me see. Chris, I'll go to you next. Any people you want to thank? Any things you want to thank? Go ahead.
Thank you guys for, on both networks, Coast to Coasting and MI6. It's been fun, doing these podcasts, sports podcasts, and just having a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, and hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving and holidays.
Sorry about that. I was recovering from a choking again on another Sour Patch Kids watermelon. They should put choking hazards on that package, by the way.
Well, you are a choking hazard anyway, so what do you expect?
Big V, I'm gonna go to you next on this. who do you have to thank this year? Like, what are you thankful for here as we approach Thanksgiving?
Outside of, family, my son, my job, I'm thankful for MI6, all you guys. It's been fun with this partnership with us and you guys at Coast to Coast. Chris, for all the work you've done behind the scenes, the great people I met. I also do want to give a big thanks, and I hope he is watching, or if not, hopefully share it with them. Adam Ace for reaching out to me, because when he reached out to me, I was actually thinking about just giving this all up due to the other network we were on. And he reached out to me, brought me along, so I'm thankful he's given me a chance to live my dream into talking sports, talking entertainment, and all that fun stuff. So I want a big shout out to Adam and Jason for coming up with this idea of Coast to Coast and bringing me along with it.
All right, Callan, I know you'll probably take a while, so I'll go to you last on this Thanksgiving part.
Well, I am in the last square, so that usually means I'm last, sir. So Loro is next.
Exactly.
How it works here, sir.
But Loro, how about you? What are you thankful for here in 2021?
First off, I'm very thankful for my family and for providing me a beautiful home that I'm living in right now. Without them, I wouldn't be here today, and I thank them for supporting me, including my mom, my dad, my grandma. They've been through a lot with me, and I am incredibly grateful for their support. And I have a lot of friends to thank. I mean, I won't mention every one of them on here, but I have a really good supporting cast of friends that I've had built with over the years, and I'm very thankful for them and their friendships. I appreciate them as well. Also, I'm very thankful for my MI6 and Coast to Coast teams. You guys are, and I also wanted to thank Isaiah and also Stephen Wang for welcoming me into the MI6 family, and I am so blessed to be part of this great team, and I'm looking forward to working with both MI6 and Coast to Coast networks for the foreseeable future. It's to be continued, my guys.
By the way, Loro, thank you for mentioning Steven, because I actually didn't thank him. I actually forgot him out of the picture. But Steven, Calvin, before I go to you, Steven, you're my man. We are like Alabama and Georgia, bitter rivals but friendly rivals. But I wanna first thank you.
I beg to differ about that part too.
I want to thank you because without what you do for the network, this network is not alive, and this network is not here. Me and Steven first started the network during the COVID quarantine back in
I thought it was Colin's turn.
What?
I thought it was Colin's turn.
I'll go to Callan in a sec, but I just want to.
You see, Brandon, he hates my baseball team, and now I get treated like this when I come back for my one-off appearance for the new year or for the year.
Callan, I gotta thank Steven, right? I mean, I gotta thank.
You should have done that earlier.
Well, Steven, I'll keep it quick. Thank you so much for what you do for the network, because without you, this network.
See, this is also what happened on the 5,000 listens episode.
Yes,
Big B.
I remember that.
It was just me, Isaiah, and John Alcorn. John gave his take. And this guy in Square One goes on a 45-minute thank you to every single member of our network before I even get a chance to talk. I'm just like, what the heck?
But yeah, Steven, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And your Ohio State Buckeyes are going down this weekend. So, but Callan, it is your turn, man. Go ahead, buddy. Bunyan axe, right?
What about the axe? Yeah, Cal beat Stanford today, sir. Thank you for reminding me. Go Bears. Simple as that.
Well, no, I was thinking about Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Battle of the Paul Bunyan axe. That's coming up next week.
Go Badgers.
So.
Sorry, Mr. Rivera. But
go ahead, Callan.
But anyway, obviously, I'm super grateful, and it's been obviously, for me, a very trying year. Last year, this year, of course, getting trying to get all the puzzle pieces back in order, having some, personal issues, with my folks. But again, I'm grateful as hell for my parents. They've been so supportive of this 13-year journey of mine, throughout the sports world. And they've been, chauffeuring me to and from games. They've come to the games I've worked and things like that. I wish they could come more often, but obviously with my schedule being with what it is, where, there's literally weeks where there's games every single day and they can't make all of them, but they try to come as often as they can. That's obviously, the biggest blessing is that they have not once told me not to pursue my dreams of being in the industry. And they've been as supportive, not more supportive, over the past, I'd say 7 years or close to 10 years since me getting out of high school. But obviously, thankful for them. And, for my whole family, all my friends, of course, I won't name them all, but my circle of friends is very small. But if you're watching, you know who you are out there. Obviously, Isaiah, you're not in that inner circle, sir. That is the outer circle that you're a part of. So nice try there, big fella. But obviously, but a sincere thank you though to Stephen and Isaiah for again the chance to come here and kind of get some of our guys who probably want to pursue a career in this field and kind of be, a mentor. I know that, John Alcorn's not here, but that in a way has become my pupil over the past, year and a half of him trying to, get himself involved with the industry and Isaiah trying to tap into the industry. But more than anything else, I think I'm more thankful though for MI6 and for Coast to Coast though, is to not letting either of these networks die, especially I know Isaiah talks about it all the time though, back in January where I wasn't able to be here last year or earlier this year. And when I had gone on my hiatus because things were getting a little too demanding for my time to, fulfill time here, and then of course go and do my games, that, Isaiah was worried that, that the network was going to die because everyone was kind of in a way getting their life back, back to normal. And for them not to stop was a huge thing. And I think adding in Coast to Coast and, and Chris and Brandon and Adam and, obviously, guys who hold Isaiah accountable for his takes is one thing, but more than anything else though, is, just guys who want to have fun, guys who want to talk movies and talk entertainment and talk sports, but just have fun about it. Yes, I've been needling Isaiah, folks, but again, as a reminder, this is all in good fun. This is nothing, actually, trying to crap upon this man up in the Bay Area, but this is just what we do. He is basically the network's little brother. That is what he is essentially amongst Coast to Coast and even with MI6. And again, I thank all the guys though at MI6 so much again for the chance to come over here and kind of in a way, pick this struggling network, off the ground. And again, I don't want to make this self-centered though, but just having the experience I've had though in my career though, either with on-air broadcasting in general, announcing in general, and to be able to help get these guys off the mat and kind of back to a respectable level. And again, 5,000 anchor listens and 100,000 total views and all the other specials we've done, like tonight and the Christmas special, the New Year's extravaganza, the draft extravaganzas, the fantasy sports drafts, all that stuff though, were ideas of mine, but, Stephen and Isaiah just said, let's take it and run with it. And they have kept those things going in some capacity, though we weren't really sure though, if we were going to be able to really host a Thanksgiving special or a holiday special of any type, because guys like me are back to work. And I know that Brandon's been back to work and Adam's back to work and Steven's back to work and stuff like that. And even though that we probably aren't on here, and again, I know I haven't seen you folks on MI6, I think since August 31st of this year. And I popped in a couple times though, and believe me, I'm still doing my best to watch programs and, roast Isaiah like a Thanksgiving turkey every chance I can, all in good fun again as a small reminder. But that, again, it's just great, though, and I'm thankful again to see that this thing is still a thing. I know that Isaiah said it, a lot, though, that there was times where they didn't know if they were going to make it to the next episode because they were just because guys like me were back to work and stuff like that. But also, obviously, a thank you to all the organizations I'm a part of. Again, the Gulls, again, 7 years with them and living out my dream job. I grew up, guys, about 21 years ago watching that team play at the sports arena, now Pechanga Arena. And I go back every so often, guys, to my season seats that I had for 6 seasons. And I sit there and I tear up. I get emotional about sitting in this spot as a, 7-year-old first grader, 6-year-old first grader, watching, this team play. And now here I am living out my dream job, working with this organization, having to work for my favorite NHL team too, in the Anaheim Ducks, and all the coworkers and my bosses and the connection that we have between San Diego and Anaheim and things like that. So a thank you to the Gulls, a thank you to the Sockers, again, starting my 9th year with the organization, celebrating a championship for the first time in 8 years. With the Sockers. Again, I've been with them. So I've been with them as a game ops intern, guest relations, and now the announcer for them. This will be my 9th year with them, and I get to celebrate, my 2nd title with that team in my career. Obviously, a thank you to Point Loma Nazarene. A major thank you, by the way, to Danny Barnes, my now former boss at Point Loma, who hired me when I was still in college 7 years ago. And Danny brought me in as a baseball play-by-play announcer. And the next summer, he's bringing me back in. We'd love for you to be our guy for soccer and for women's basketball and men's basketball. And, and I've been there for 7 years, and I've got a chance to see the women's soccer team win 4 conference championships and, obviously, fulfilling my other dream of being the voice of a women's basketball team and trying to elevate women's sports, which has been a very big thing in my DNA since I was in 8th grade. And, obviously college baseball is one thing, and college soccer, and forming all my friendships with the student athletes and the coaching staffs who, I never thought, guys, that my job would be so well received, and having all of the, players who are friends of mine and the coaches, just always saying what's up, or, the parents who come and say, hey, we love the job you do. That's what's so cool about the industry. And of course, the University of San Diego, thank you guys for 5 years for allowing me to come and also live out a dream job of working at a college that I basically grew up in diapers at when my aunt was the athletic trainer at USD, and watching Brad Holland in the men's basketball team play, Amber Sprague, Amanda Rigo, the 08 women's basketball team who won the conference title at home that season, and to be able to be at that university 3 miles from my house and at a place I basically went to when I was a newborn up until now, and being able to lend my voice to women's basketball, women's soccer, men's soccer, sports that Isaiah doesn't find interesting, like volleyball and soccer and basketball and baseball, softball, you name it, and stuff like that. And obviously another thank you too to the thing that we'll also be talking about as well, but a thank you to the San Diego Seals. That is a organization who's kind of an upstart thing, playing a fairly new major league sport here in San Diego, and to allow me to be a freelance writer and kind of just covering them for a beat that I'm on and stuff like that, and seeing some old faces who I used to work with the Gulls or the Sockers or other outlets. And again, just, super thankful for those organizations. And again, my friends and family, all of you guys. But of course, a major thank you, and I'll say it again, a major thank you to all of you viewers. Much like I said, folks, like Isaiah's favorite television station, just like PBS, thanks to viewers like you, this is where we are at, approaching 2 years come March of next year here on MI6. And again, a major thank you again to you viewers who, again, despite Isaiah and his utter lunacy, and him running this network into the ground not once but twice while I've been away, but you folks still tune in. You give your thoughts, and you still make us part of your day. Though that life is basically getting back to normal in some small capacity, with what has gone on over the past year and a half, soon to be 2 years, you folks still make us part of your life, just like you did when there was nothing to do in 2020. And I really just can't thank you folks enough, and for still believing in us. Again, when I've been away, and there were some times that I thought too, when I was, when I'd be asleep at 1 o'clock in the morning, thinking, okay, is Isaiah going to quit? Are they going to stop because I'm not able to be with them? And that you folks basically, in a way, much like a team who's behind in a game and losing, and they get hot and they win the game with like a second half comeback in basketball because the crowd gets behind them. You guys basically have been behind us since I've been away. And again, this is not being self-centered, but again, you have kind of helped carry this network, not just Isaiah, not just Loro and John, but you fans have helped carry this network, much like you carrying your favorite team to a victory when they've been losing all game and they come back and win it in overtime or at the final buzzer. You have helped carry this network. You've been making noise on third down for us. You've been getting us that big defensive stop when we need it big time. And that you folks have just done a great job, though, of tuning in still. I know we don't talk. I know that Isaiah doesn't talk a lot of sports like I do, though, in regards to certain things, like soccer and stuff like that. And again, that's fine. That's stuff for a different day, though. But that you, the viewers, though, have just made this network still be relevant and still be possible. Casey, Christy, James, Justin, Ishmael, myself included when I've been away, that you have helped carry our network. You've also probably helped, and I think you've also helped out carry Coast to Coast for the past several months too, because I know that again that everyone is basically back to work. And again, Ishmael, namaste, thank you very much. I know that you've also, of course, tuned in to the lounge when I've been able to be on air though with you guys, which again has been very, very limited. But again, the viewers are what makes this network and makes both these networks possible. If we were stuck up in only about ourselves and for the revenue and money, we wouldn't read your commentary. But you're
the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are just like us. You're sports fans too. And like I always say, you may send in a comment to a live stream on ESPN or Fox or Bally or what have you. It's not going to be read 9 times out of 10. Or you may get that exclusive like one-on-one. And yes, a shout out to Kelly O'Hara and the Spirit for that incredible victory today over Chicago. Just a great final across the board. I'm stoked that we get a team in San Diego next season along with Angel City FC. So that'll be a very fun thing in the NWSL next season. And yes, the Spirit winning that game, though, Kelly O'Hara coming in the clutch there to win the NWSL title for the Spirit over the Red Stars today from, I believe, from SeatGeek Stadium up there in Chicago, Illinois today. But certainly, again, you viewers out there, I don't think that we could be as, that's what I'm most thankful for is obviously, the partnership with Coast to Coast, all of the guys on camera, the guys off camera with both networks again. But you viewers, though, just make our day that much better. I said that during, last year when I would be doing stuff, in the morning on TQN where I was formerly at or stuff like that. You guys make this thing possible. And, if we only cared about ourselves, like the Lakers only care about their egos, we wouldn't read your commentary. But again, you're sports fans like us, and your input means just about, or means the same as ours, if not more than what we say on air, because you're sports fans just like us. But that's what I'll conclude. And Isaiah, I'll give you the floor back, sir. Thank you again.
All right, Callan, thank you so much. Ishmael actually has a question for you before we jump into final thoughts, and that is, Callan, is the Marvel podcast with you and I think he meant to say John because I don't think Loro is on the Marvel podcast, but is the Marvel podcast with you and John coming back?
We're working on it. We're possibly going to, and Brandon, I'll ask you as well, or let you know that we're contemplating streaming it across MI6 and C2C because you guys are an entertainment network, But Justin, we're working on it. Right now, my Sundays are open. But with indoor soccer starting, they mainly play on Sundays. So we're a little bit gridlocked, but we're trying to move the puzzle pieces around. I am, though, going back to California Adventure in December with my friend Matt to go check out the Avengers campus again. I'm probably going to do a thing for the podcast from the campus on December 12th. But we're working out the details right now. But right now, we're working on it. We're looking at perhaps adding on our friends from Coast to Coast to join in as well, because I know that Adam and perhaps Chris and maybe Brandon are huge Marvel fans as well. But definitely it is on the radar for sure, though, Mr. Lancaster. So don't worry. We have thought about it. So, yeah, and we'll see how things go, and we'll see. But right now we're looking pretty good.
Yeah, definitely, man. Can't wait for the relaunch of the Marvel podcast. It's going to be fun. It's going to be epic. But, man, it's been a long, epic show. Thanksgiving special. But Loro, you know what time it is. Time to hit it. It's final thought. Final thought. Sorry about that tongue twister, guys, but
you're good.
it's been a long night. It's been a long show, but it is final thoughts time. I'm actually going to start with Chris on this final thoughts. Chris, I know you've stuck with us for the entire program, man. I don't know what time it is there in Texas.
Yeah, Bacon, don't die on the ship, man. We got a huge thing coming up though in this final thoughts segment, so stand by.
Yeah, cool, Bacon. But Chris, what is your final thoughts for tonight's show?
Thank you guys for watching and tuning in. Great things are happening on both networks, and just stay tuned.
Very well said, Chris. Big B, how about you? What is your final thoughts for tonight's program?
No, it was great to join you guys for this 2 almost 3 hour special. Join myself and your guy Loro and Chris P. Bacon for tomorrow or this morning, I guess. Coast to Coast Week 11 morning tailgate. So we give our NFL thoughts and might cover a little bit of the Thursday night games too.
All right, that's going to be an exciting program coming up about a few hours from now. Loro, how about you? Final thoughts for tonight's program?
First, I want to thank the viewers for tuning into today's show. We want to thank you guys for supporting this network, and we can't wait to continue to do good things in the near future with this network and go from there. And again, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to my family, my friends, and I'm thankful for the person who I am, and I'm thankful for everybody that puts together this amazing network.
All right, and Callan, how about you, man? What is your actually, before I go to you, because you have a big announcement that we've been teasing, I'm gonna give my final thoughts, and I'll give you the floor for your announcement. But my final thoughts is, I want to echo what Loro had to say. I want to thank all the fans for tuning in. I think most of them stayed with us through the entire 2-hour and now 50-minute program here on both the MI6 Sports Network and the Coast to Coast Network. I want to thank Justin, Ishmael, Casey King, James Gonzalez, Christy Wilson, Dragon Viper. Also want to thank, we had a lot of comments. I'm trying to go through each and every one of them, but I think I don't want to leave anybody out. I think we had a newcomer that actually tuned in tonight. I think his name was George G. the second or something. Sorry, George, if I'm messing up your name, but thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you. And you can check us out actually on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now Odyssey as well. You can search up the MI6 Sports Network. And also, I think we did have a couple comments from Trevor Williams, who couldn't be with us tonight because, he was just dead tired after the Ohio State Buckeyes win over Michigan State. And also Nate McWhirter, thank you for tuning in. Yes, George G. the third. This is the first time I'm catching your show. Really appreciate
tuning in, buddy. We appreciate it.
Yes, very, very appreciative of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Want to thank the fans for all the love and the support throughout not only tonight's program, but throughout the entire 1.5 years here on the MI6 Sports Network. But final thoughts for me. Announcement: we are not going to have any programming here on MI6 for this upcoming week from Monday. We won't have the Extra Point, but after the Extra Point tomorrow, we won't have any programming from Monday all the way to the Monday after Thanksgiving. I believe that day is December 1st, but
I sure hope you're going to stick by this unlike last year, sir.
I'm definitely going to stick by it for sure. But you guys, if you guys are thirsty for programs, if you're thirsty for sports talk while MI6 is off during Thanksgiving week, you guys can check out the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. They have a lot of great shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Chris, actually, can you give us a rundown of just a quick rundown of the schedule that you guys got?
Oh, we got a lot of shows. We got, where we had baseball, but we got trivia, we got movies and TV shows, we got, sports topics. It's just a range of everything. So every day of the week.
Yep, and you guys can catch, like Big B said, catch the morning tailgate, not Target. Sorry about that. With Chris, Big B, and Loro tomorrow morning before the NFL. Hey, Callan, it's too late already. It's the brain's getting worn out.
Loses again.
You can catch that, and also I don't know if Adam or Chris or Big B mentioned it, but Coast to Coast is actually bringing back the trivia show and roundtable starting this upcoming Tuesday. So that's gonna be coming up.
We're gonna do a little 3-show cycle starting Tuesday. We're gonna start with the entertainment hour hosted by Dragon Viper, with Chris and myself being a part of that. The following week we will be bringing back roundtable, and then after that we will do trivia. So it'll be a 3-show rotation. between 7:30 Central Time is when that'll go.
Yep, and you can expect that I won't be on the trivia show because
Yeah, you will be.
Callan's gonna make sure to stick me on the trivia show every single Tuesday. But you can catch those shows on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network, as well as Kicking It with Isaiah and Ace. Not this Thursday because we won't have a show on Thanksgiving, but every Thursdays as well.
And I will be on every show next month on Kicking It with Isaiah because I'm off every Thursday. So Isaiah is not going to be happy about that. It's going to be fun.
But Callan, it is time for the big reveal. We've been teasing it this entire night. Go ahead, my man. Give it to us. What is the big announcement?
You know, I've been sitting on this for a while, fellas, and I'm extremely grateful for Isaiah and Steven to allow this to come to fruition, folks, because, you know, this is the MI6 Sports Network, so we've been mainly talking about sports, obviously, that people, you know, obviously, you know, tune into on a consistent daily basis and things of that nature. But after quite a extensive process to kind of get this thing off the ground and running, just waiting for something to load here on my computer. But this has obviously been something, though, that I've talked to Steven and Isaiah about for at least the last year because, you know, there's been a lot obviously going on where things have not really happened and stuff like that. But, folks, I'm extremely excited, though, to announce, though, that starting on December 3rd, so Friday, 2 weeks from this upcoming Friday, roughly, but on December 3rd, the MI6 Sports Network is pleased to announce that we are covering professional indoor lacrosse starting on December 3rd here in San Diego, California. Again, this has been in the works for quite a while, folks. Again, as I said, with Isaiah and Steven. But this is indeed, guys, a landmark announcement for our network here at MI6. With me being a credentialed member of the assembled media for the San Diego Seals of the National Lacrosse League, we are now, folks, going to be bringing you folks NLL coverage live at home games, post-game interviews, and a weekly league-devoted podcast starting on December 3rd. And again, this has been in the works, folks, for quite a while. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Bacon has a team close by now in Fort Worth, Texas, playing at Dickies Arena this upcoming season. So this is
promoted.
Going to be an extremely amazing experience. So, folks, a bit of a rundown here. We're still ironing out all the details, but basically, we're trying to find a way to generate more traffic to our network website, which again is more so just, you know, a couple of articles here and there. And since I write directly for this organization as a freelance writer, we're going to bring all of the written content. So the game previews, the game recaps, the post-game interviews, all that's going to be coming to the MI6 website, along with a devoted podcast, weekly done leading up to a game and also after the post-game one afterwards is going to be called the Deep Dive Podcast after the game does conclude. Not afterwards, but, folks, we are, though, going to be live, though, at Pechanga Arena, San Diego for all 9 Seals home games and covering their entire season schedule during the course of the season for the NLL season. And, guys, I can't be more excited again because this league is growing. 35 years now for the NLL playing. Again, Chris has a team now in Fort Worth, Texas. We have a league team here in San Diego. And it's going to be extremely fun. So it'll be myself along with a fellow writer, Mr. Chris Davis, who was our odds man for a bit on MI6, who also writes for a local publication. So we're bringing you folks live pregame coverage and live postgame coverage, including live postgame interviews with players and coaches, just like ESPN, just like Fox Sports. And again, we'll have a weekly podcast leading up to and recapping all 18 Seals games this season. So that, folks, is all coming your way come December 3rd here on the MI6 Sports Network. And again, I thank Isaiah and Steve so much for letting me bring this over to MI6 and all the good stuff there. But again, bringing you folks live professional sports commentary, written articles, you name it. We've got it coming, folks, all on December 3rd. And we'll see how things go from there. But again, a major thank you, though, to MI6 and to Isaiah and Steven for letting me do this. And again, trying to find a way to get more people involved with the game, but also for us, though, growing our brand, though, having MI6 a part of the post-game interviews and stuff like that, though. It's such a huge thing, though. And I've had some great relationships, though, with players and coaches. Now having all this come to MI6 and bringing all of the content into our platform, though, with our live air coverage on game day, if I have time to do so, because of my schedule being a bit out of in flux right now. We're kind of just being busy. But folks, you can guarantee, though, we'll have 9 guaranteed live stream pregame shows, post-game shows, and every game, though. Pre-game previews, post-game recap articles, practice updates. I mean, you name it. We're covering this league, folks, just like you would see ESPN covering pro football or pro basketball. We're just mainly focusing on one team because they're in San Diego, one in a market. But all that, folks, is coming December 3rd. I can't be more stoked. We already have a preseason preview already loaded for you folks that's going to be dropping this week. We'll have a season preview podcast with myself and hopefully with Chris before Mr. Davis, not Mr. Bacon, but with Chris Davis from San Diego Sports Domination, leading up to the home opener against Vancouver. So it's gonna be very fun, folks. Again, you can guarantee 9 live stream pregame shows, 9 live stream postgame shows, postgame interviews, all coming your way starting December 3rd. And again, I cannot be more excited to keep continue my writing career, but also bring it, though, and again, just help further grow and expand this MI6 Sports Network branding as, in fact, the season goes on. But it's going to be a great year, and again, looking forward to being out there and not having to use my voice for once and actually do things this way. But again, it's going to be awesome once more. But again, folks, game preview and recap stories for all 18 games, both home and road, published via the network's website. Of course, it will be, shared via social media. Weekly podcast to recap and preview games. And again, we'll have live pre and post game coverage, live from Press Row, live from Pechanga Arena, San Diego, for 9 dates out of the year, and hopefully a nice long playoff run for the guys in purple and gold in San Diego. But again, a major thanks to Isaiah and Steven. And again, hopefully getting some new eyes on this league, and also just doing our part to help further grow the sports world on our network. And again, Isaiah, back over to you. But again, I thank you a lot, man, for the chance to bring this league. And again, I think a league that I think a lot of people have heard of, but probably don't have teams close by. And certainly I think a game, though, I think you can get behind, though, because again, this is played like indoor soccer, 18, 17, 20 to 19 games. So we're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of high scoring games, a lot of great stuff. And again, just great stuff, though, is coming, though. And again, Isaiah, at least going to you, man, network founder, seeing live coverage of a league actually coming here, as opposed to it being, maybe, sports that we're used to, but kind of seeing, a sport that's been around for a bit. But now, though, man, we're bringing this, though, in a whole, huge way in just over 2 weeks. It's got to be pretty exciting, though, that you've probably never heard of this game ever.
It's definitely very exciting. I mean, we have become the new ESPN, or we're not at that level yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there for sure. But fellas, ding, 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 we have officially reached 3 hours here on this Thanksgiving special. Who wants to do another hour? Make it 4 hours.
That'd be good.
First, before I got to leave,
minutes anyway.
I'm just
Colin.
kidding about that.
So I just want to let you know, congrats on the new deal that you struck with the lacrosse. And, if you need anything from C2C, just reach out to myself, Adam, J-Man, Chris. And we definitely are behind you 100%.
We'll have to get Mr. Bacon on when the Seals play Panther City this year, or get Alcorn on. That'd be great to have the guys join us from Texas to see this expansion battle or not expansion battle, but it's us in Philadelphia. But again, just trying our best to reach into I think a sport that has a proven track record in certain markets, and is slowly growing. I wish the Cannons were a part of the league, but they're not, though. Sadly, so that's more outdoor more than indoor. So. But definitely, again, Isaiah, back over to you. But again, man, we thank you a lot for the chance to bring this, and again, bringing you folks live sports coverage, not the actual game, but at least previews and all that good stuff, though, come December 3rd here in San Diego, California. It's going to be amazing.
Definitely, for sure. one last thing before we end the show. My guy Martin Garcia actually texted me the things that he's thankful for. He couldn't be on the program tonight due to some stuff going on. But he wanted to say, he's thankful for the family that we have here at MI6, as well as Coast to Coast. He's also saying that I am also thankful for having another blessed, healthy, safe year with my family and my friends. And also, I'm also thankful for being able to call all of you guys my friends. So that is from Martin Garcia. But it's been a long show. It's been an outstanding Thanksgiving special here on the MI6 Sports Network. Remember, guys, we will not be having programming after tomorrow on the MI6 Sports Network.
And just a reminder, Isaiah, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are not the Beatles.
No comment on that, but
yeah, we'll have extra points tomorrow and next Sunday, right, Isaiah?
Yes. But for Chris, for Big B, for Callan, and for Laura.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
But for Chris, for Big B, for Loro, for Callan, and for me, signing off tonight here from the MI6 Sports Network and the Coast to Coast Network. Hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, pumpkin pie, all of that. And we will see you back here on the MI6 Sports Network tomorrow for the extra point. And then we will see you on Monday. I don't know the exact day. I don't want to get it wrong.
29th.
So the 29th. Yes, the 29th. And you guys can also catch us on the Odyssey Network here as well. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and good night. Go, baby. Really.